Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the IESF WEC 2023 America's Region Qualifiers for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. We'll be your casters for today, Rockhart, and this is Burger Kim. How are you today, Kim?
Well, better today actually. I mean, after all the exciting day games rather yesterday, you would be super excited as well for day number 2. And of course, this is the International Esports Federation, or IESF, is the uniting body for world esports. You got over 130 members from national federations all around the world, and of course, this is the America's qualifiers, like what Rockhard mentioned. So expect to see a lot more MLBB action. And for the teams that you guys are looking out for yesterday, you haven't seen them play. Well, today's the day.
That's right. We are going to be seeing two best of threes today. It's going to be Argentina versus Chile and Guatemala versus Panama, and all those are best of threes. Yesterday, we had some pretty interesting games and a lot of sweeps. Not sure if that's going to
Mhm.
be happening here today as well, but based on the lineups that we saw yesterday, they were pretty close. I mean, especially on the first series of the day where Argentina really tore it up with Brazil. And a lot of fun picks as well. You know, the newer ones that we are kind of just starting to feel out from the players where I think Alpha also making a pretty good
Mhm.
rise, and surprisingly Xborg. I did not expect the Xborg
Right.
today, actually.
Yeah, I think it was picked twice yesterday by two different teams. So two different teams that picked up the export jungle. We saw Granger jungle yesterday. A lot of utility type of support. So I'm not so sure if we'll get the same type of combos today. Maybe something totally new. I love the alpha. Actually, I would love to see more of that. There's a rising hero as well that I would like to see in the jungle. Bane, I think they buffed him up pretty well. Plus, he farms pretty fast as compared to like the previous patches. So it used to be a thing, but yeah, I do hope to see Bane apart from Alpha in the jungle.
Yeah, that's true. I actually think that Bane, they kind of shifted Bane away from the big engage only. It was a little bit hard to engage in team fights with Bane before, and I think it really did get buffed up today. So hopefully we'll see some of that action. And again, I feel like at this point, almost anything is up for grabs here in the jungle role. And right now, I'm hoping that maybe something more of and I hope our teams yesterday really learned a lot from like the way that the other teams from other regions draft, like especially the teams that really rely on the big what do you call that, the big engagement roamers.
Mm.
I think the roamers yesterday were really crucial. We saw picks that had a diggy that maybe shouldn't have had a diggy. We've seen picks that had a minotaur, which again, I love the minotaur pick. It's actually a big rising pick right now, and I love that
Mhm.
these teams are starting to pick them up as well.
You know what? There's also another hero that we haven't seen. Well, we've seen her yesterday, but she didn't really shine that much. Not really such a good run yesterday, but maybe today's a different day. Novaria, so new hero,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's actually we can actually use it here in the America's qualifier. So we have yet to see a team that can utilize this Novaria. Depends on what they want. I mean, it can be a roam, can be a mid laner. For me
Yeah.
personally, but depends on the team if they've practiced enough with this hero. I mean, it is a new hero, right? You need some time because I remember the day it was released, Rockhart. It's just Novarius in all of my classic games. I couldn't even use it, so you had to wait for a while. And now I think it's been, I think a week already since Novaria was released. So
That's right. Actually, that's interesting because yesterday it was also banned out. And I also I really wanna highlight what these teams are doing. Before that, let's show our roster for the teams that will be playing for this first series of the day. It is Argentina with Civ, Meteoro, Hide on Bush, Arctic, and Frost.
oh man, this
There
is
it
the
is.
same roster yesterday, right? Same roster. Haydn Bush. They also played in the first series yesterday, so they're gonna bounce back today. Obviously, they want to have that bounce back, and of course, yesterday it was Argentina up against Brazil, which ended in a clean sweep, if I'm not mistaken, in favor of Brazil. So that was 2-0 for Brazil. And of course, for today, right, you want to rack up as much wins as you can. And again, this is a best out of three. So there's a lot that can happen. Yesterday was a day full of clean sweeps. So that was three
That's
clean
right.
sweep BO3s.
Yeah, and with all the scenes we had yesterday, I think that was the closest with Argentina versus Brazil. And of course, on the other side, it is definitely
Mm-hmm.
going to be another treat for us today. First time we'll see today them play. It's
Mm-hmm.
Chile. It's High, Zamu Dominante,
Mm.
Striker, Martini, and 10. We have the full size
Oh,
Martini today. We had the mini
right.
Martini yesterday. Now it's full size Martini. This should be
Well, this is martini, not mini martini, not to be confused with mini martini, from Chile. And yeah, they're gonna be going up against Argentina, which you guys have seen yesterday already. Uh, well, since Argentina, for you guys, you've already seen them play. You've seen their play style. You've seen what they're capable of. And as for Chile, you guys have yet to see them today. So I think it's another surprise factor for everyone as well. For the Argentinian teams, let's see what type of again type of heroes, type of combos that we'll see. I mean, yesterday we've seen so many uncontemporary picks, so I'm looking forward to this one.
That's true. And yesterday we also saw the teams, they seem to be very well prepared with what the other teams are picking up here. Some teams even insta banning a Lancelot in certain scenarios.
Mm.
So I love that these teams definitely they have this sort of they have they really they seem to be very focused. You know what I mean? they know what the other team's gonna bring out, or they have a good idea of what the other team's compositions are. So I hope that we can see more of this today, because right now it's just very close. Don't forget, it's a double round robin. So, and actually, there are some games that are also happening alongside the broadcast. So, we're actually definitely gonna see score updates soon. So stand by for that as well, because okay, again, all of this leads to the Romania for the EASI 2023 WE Championship. So yeah, I do think that the teams have, is a big opportunity for a lot of these teams.
Especially since it's a growing region. It's a region that people have already seen. I mean, for Brazil, they've already made their appearance in World Championships. For the other regions as well, they've left quite an impact on regions that have been dominant in MLBB. So, well, this year, Romania, right? It's going to be exciting at the same time for teams like that will be going up against each other for, or maybe even for talents who will be going there. It's going to be quite a treat. And of course, what better way to enjoy MLBB action than um, just be together in one place, right? Together in one place, and just get to meet your fellow players. So, as for me, if I were a pro player, I'd be super super excited for this one.
That's true. Yeah, same thing. Same here. Definitely would love to fly out of there. And definitely, I love seeing the newer faces, especially old foes and old nemesis. I don't know if there are like rivalries that are brewing up here in this tournament today, in this qualifier, because I definitely see that some teams really do pay attention to what teams from other countries are picking up, and it's always good to see how MLBB has been growing in these countries, because it just seems that MLB are starting, the other regions for MLB are starting to catch up. And we're seeing that definitely in a lot of these international tournaments. I love seeing the Americas region showing off what they have. And I just keep wondering what else are we going to see today come up with these two? For Argentina, definitely looking. They looked really strong yesterday in all of the best of threes that we saw yesterday, especially with Colombia really tearing it up against Panama. That was like they gave us a game that was less than 10 minutes. So the loading
Hmm.
screens might have been longer than that specific game. So that is so interesting, right? I don't want to see anything like that today, but I with the teams that we have right now, I'm pretty sure that this is gonna be a close one.
Well, to keep you guys more excited about this, right? Like, I mean, usually standard games that you'd see, ranked games. I think even in other regions, it's usually like 15 minutes or less, like 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Pretty. That's pretty good already. Like that's a short game. Like the longest game I've ever encountered in professional play is 48 minutes. That's the longest. 48, like going to an hour
Yeah,
already. So I
that's
was
pretty
like,
long.
wow. I think it was like an Eve Farsa going up against each other. A couple, no, no, no. That was like an Eve Farsa. Then you got a Sicilian. So they really couldn't end the game. But yeah, that was such a tough one. But yeah, we've seen fast games here as well. Like 8 minutes yesterday, and a perfect game actually from was it Panama, right? It was Panama that had a perfect game. No towers
Yeah.
taken, no deaths at all, and all the objectives went to them. So that was just absolutely crazy, super dominant on play. So I'm wondering if we'll see more of that today, actually.
That's true. Argentina actually was facing off against Brazil, and Brazil looked really strong, but it was still relatively close. So we're not sure what we're gonna see today for Chile, but for Argentina, they do seem to have a pretty good grasp of the meta from what we saw. Now, um, coming up into this game, I wonder if the Lancelot will still make an appearance. I think Hydon Bush showed up very, very strong on Lancelot yesterday, and they were trying really hard to contest turtles. You saw the early game, right? The early game from Argentina coming in. It was really interesting the way that they were playing that early game. I think the Lancelot really got elevated in terms of the speed that it was clearing. But again, despite the nerfs on the Molten Essence and some of these tank
Mhm.
items, apparently, they still want to play that hero.
Yeah, it was a prio pick actually for both games that they played yesterday. So I think that they really want that Lancelot. I mean, apart from the other teams too, if it's not banned out, it's in the first picking phase. Like usually you'd save the Lancelot either for the last pick. It's a surprise pick, but here, surprisingly, in the Americas, it's just wow. Okay, we want the Lancelot. We'll pick up the Lancelot. It's a matter. We're comfortable with it, and like what you mentioned, right? It's just um it's different when you have a hero that you're comfortable using. You know what you can do, what you can't do with the hero, as compared to a hero that you're not so comfortable with. You can't really make the plays that you want.
Yeah. If you enabled the plays from Haidon Bush yesterday, it was actually really. It looked promising. It really looked promising. Now, coming into this game, we are starting to load
Mhm.
up into the pick and ban for today. And this draft should give us a good idea of what Chile can also be capable of. Coming into this one, there you go. That's gonna be it. Actually, I remember the draft for Argentina versus Brazil yesterday. It was the Faramis. The Valentina was also a very high priority ban here in this game, and I don't expect that to change at all. And again, if you see your enemy banning out a Faramis, rest assured that there's a very good chance they might be picking up or banning out or picking up a glue. Just make sure that they can survive on that hero.
Wow, first ban Faramis. I'm not so sure if Chile should ban out the Lancelot that Haidon Bush has used twice yesterday. Not unless they want to pick
Yeah.
it up themselves, but in this case, Argentina is on the blue side, which means that they got the prio pick here. We haven't seen a lot of Joyce and Arlots, so we've only seen the Arlot picked up once. It was left open once, and as for Joy, it's completely on top of the ban list as of the moment. Even the Fanny yesterday, there were times that this was a prio ban. So Faramis and the Fanny for Argentina. And for Chile, I think this is where it gets tricky, right? For the red side, you
There
have
it
to
is.
consider as well what they will prioritize, and the glue is going to be the second to the last man here for Chile.
Now, the important thing here is don't forget the Wan Wan ban as well if you're a red side, unless you are willing to have a very strong gold lane. If you have a lot of confidence in your gold lane, okay, go ahead, right? Go ahead and ban out. Don't ban out the Wan Wan. But other than that, I think that's gonna be the last ban for Chile. For Argentina, they have more flexibility, and there it is. There's the Arlot that is actually quite deadly right now in these picks, especially again, I love seeing the Arlot with the flicker combos that always usually starts up a really good team fight in favor of whoever owns the Arlot.
Yeah, when it's a utility type of support that you're going for, it's going to be obviously most of the time it's the XP laner setting up the plays too, right? It's not just the roamer. And you mentioned the Wan Wan here, Card, quite spot on. They ban it out here for Chile, which means that I wouldn't be surprised if Haidon Bush actually picks up the Lancelot here. Uh, I mean, they did several times, but I completely forgot about the other picks that were open. We were just talking about the Joy that was on top of the ban list yesterday, and they're gonna be picking it up instantly here for this game number one. And for Chile, they answered out with a pretty little combo too, Franco and the carry.
Oh, there it is. That should be interesting. Are you willing to bet that a Mincetar will make an appearance here for the third pick for Chile? I feel like that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I think for Argentina, right? Here's the thing: there's a lot of things open, right? We talked about the Novaria, we talked about high ground mages like the Eve. There you go.
There it
Talking
is.
about high ground mages, it pops up here. Argentina's gonna lock it in. I like this, but my only worry is going to be the Franco. I think for Chile, I think they already anticipated this. That's why they picked up the Franco early on to possibly deal with the Eve or the Farsa. And now, what's Argentina gonna lock in? They're still okay. They haven't revealed their jungler yet, not unless it's going to be a Joy in the jungle. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing: the Joy was nerfed in the recent patch, but I'm not so sure how. I don't think the based on the last patch, based on what I understand, it's not enough to just take down Joy from the meta just yet. I mean, it's still pretty good, still pretty viable, but very flexible as well. Like I think this can be a mid laner, but with the Eve being put into play, this should be more or less like an XP laner. Joy.
There it is. That's gonna be again. There's no question now that there will be no Minzatar unless they want to force it on the jungle. And the reason why is usually it's really good to have a Franco and a Minzatar in your lineup. Those hooks, if you miss one
Double
hook,
hook.
there's gonna be a backup, right? Yeah. So with usually that will go on XP lane, but some again, there's still a possibility of it going into the jungle, but we're not sure yet because right now the Benedetta is starting to make a play.
Oh, it's Rise of the Benedetta again. I've seen a Benedetta in the jungle. I'm not so sure where this will be. We'll find out later on with the last two picks here, Chile. And for Argentina, I think both sides, they haven't revealed their jungler just yet. I talked about the high ground mages that is still, despite the nerfs on the wings by wings on the far side, it's still very viable. It's just her toolkit overall that's just so good. And now for Chile, they're taking away roamer options, the Kaja. That can definitely be a problem here for the carry. Or maybe some setter tags could be taken out here for the side of Chile. Hmm.
Oh yeah, are you
Kufras and
thinking
the
about the
Atlases.
Minotaur again? Let's go,
Mhm.
Minotaur,
Or
Minotaur.
the Lolita, actually, that had a very good run yesterday, Rockhart. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Luna's Lolita, that was such a good game for Brazil yesterday. But not so sure what Chile will do. I mean, it's either you limit out the roamer or the jungler, and the Akai is gonna be the final ban here for Chile.
Oh yeah, there it is. That is gonna be the. I'm not gonna be expecting any big Atlas plays. I think Atlas does Atlas make sense right now for Argentina. I feel like it is a solid duo, but at the same time, it's a little hard to catch Benedettas. So if a Benedetta
Right.
kind of just uses skills to get out of it, I feel like it might be wasted. So what are you thinking? What kind of setter tanks are you thinking here for Argentina? Because I'm pretty sure it will be a setter tank. If you combo it with an Eve, right?
Here's the thing, Rockhart. There's a Franco here, not Furanco, but Franco. There is a Franco there. Think about it, like Min Sitar in the jungle, double hook, great amount of engage. Plus, yeah, it's gonna be lethal for especially for the Eve and the Brody here. I love the buff on the Min Sitar, but I'm not so sure. Again, the Benedetta XP lane, but Candida is gonna be hovered here and locked in. So wow, this is pickoffs after
Okay.
pickoffs for Chile. Like Franco, Candida, this is so lethal. Plus, you got of course a ticking time bomb as well. The carry on the gold lane. I'm not so sure though. It's gonna be going up against a Brody, so the Brody has a lot more range as compared to the carry, so they have to watch out for that one. But so far overall, you got double assassins here for Chile and a Franco. Lethal, they need to answer this out. We haven't seen so much Fredrins just yet, like in the jungle. We've seen like one or two yesterday, but mostly in the XP lane. So I'm not so sure if it's a thing here. But yeah, talked about Lolita. They're hovering over it right now.
It's great because if you have a Lolita, it can also block out some of those hooks that might come out
Mhm.
from the Franco. But I love that Chile's not really overthinking it. What do you call this? The Cadita Franco combo is actually really solid. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to what do you call that? You don't need to combo it too hard. And there it is. Last pick is going to be Martis. We also have a Dyrov in the jungle. That should make things a little bit easier as well for Argentina to really clear that jungle and go for the team fights as soon as maybe level 4, level 5. I do know that if you have a Dyrov, you need to engage early on and you need to start those team fights as soon as possible because you might get kited in the later stages of the game. So that's going to be interesting, right? Lolita's actually a very solid pick to round out the draft for Argentina.
Well, it's going to be a different play style for Argentina and Chile here. So you got the Franco. It's most like single target. Think about it: single target for the Franco, single target for the Cadita, and even I think to a point like the Benedetta as well, like the Electro Final Blow,
Yeah.
and then you get the Petrify. So it's more of targeting the backlines here of Argentina. But the Lolita is just more of like hard CC. Then you combine it with the real world manipulation in the nick of time. That's going to be a pretty solid combo. You know, we were talking about Chile's combos, but Argentina's combos is pretty solid as well. I mean, the only problem that they will, or the only struggle that they will actually have in this game would have to be the hooks from the Franco, and of course the rough waves from the Cadita.
That's true. If that misses out, that might be a problem here for the mid lane of Chile. But right now, without further ado, let's jump into it. It's game number one between Argentina versus Chile. Once more, this is going to be a best of three. So they start off, both teams actually starting off really strong in their drafts,
Oh,
and no hesitation whatsoever. Chile just throwing out those hooks and forcing a flicker off of Hay.
Hey, Rockheart, are you seeing what I'm seeing in the gold lane? Is that
Yeah,
Benny Cutie in the gold lane?
y-
Well,
yeah.
not
I was
the
thinking maybe
Filipino
he got
Benny Cutie. Inspiration.
yeah, the a world champion, the world champion Benny Cute. Maybe I was thinking maybe he kind of you know, mispositioned himself. He was supposed to go on Echo's map, but he ended up here. But obviously, I'm kidding. Maybe we had a changed name here. That's a good name to change. Yeah, that's a good name to change into. You know, if you think about it. Oh,
Oh,
get that
wow, the
frost.
hooks there. Oh, it's quite on
Hooks are
point
looking
here
on
from
point for
Dominate.
yeah, looking good right now is going to be obviously. Actually, the good thing about this, even though these hooks are connecting, there's no kills happening because the Franco and Kadit are actually separated from each other pretty far.
Yes, it's. I mean, they have to clear out the waves in on mid lane as well. I mean, you're going up against an Eve that can clear out the waves pretty fast, and as you can see, like Meteor is already here on the top side, but that's going to be a solo. Well, not a solo kill, it was a three-man rotation bottom side, and off-cam kill onto Frost finally. And top side though, it's a good thing that they're able to deal with this Benedetta on the XP lane. They did trade off the gold lane here on the bottom side, and the turtle's up. So Highland Bush is actually starting it up right now. Bendy Cutie actually having an advantage here, getting into level 4. It's gonna be Sugar stealing in that turtle for Chile, and they're backing away. Arctic a little bit too deep there, and that's gonna be 2 kills and the turtle picked up by Chile.
It was a little difficult right now for Argentina to re-engage on that turtle just because everyone seemed to be so focused, and we're seeing the perks of having a Benedetta on your team. It just makes targeting very hard for Argentina. Now Meteoro trying to go in. It's gonna be real world activated, but the Numenon blast from Lolita gets repositioned. That's pretty good. Although there's not gonna be much follow up. Hay is pretty far away. And looks like that's going to be a pretty even trade, but Argentina seems to be having difficulties keeping up right now in the early.
I just want to commend Meteoro there. That was such a good position for the real world manipulation. And like what I mentioned, right, it's going to be a struggle for the Eve here, especially when you get the bloody hunt of Zamu dominate on you. It's going to cancel out the real world manipulation. There were flickers used, and it was just used in the nick of time. I actually thought that Argentina will finally pick up at least like 2 kills right there. But good thing, yeah, it's a good thing that they locked in this Franco of Zamu dominate, and they were able to cancel the real world manipulation and get in another 2 kills. Argentina right now just again, they're having a hard time. Either like yes, they do go for the engage, but it seems to be Chile is always like one step ahead of Argentina.
Yep,
Oh,
there goes
there's the
Petrify. Oh my
Petrify and
god,
the
so many crowd controls. Frost making it
almost.
out, almost getting him, but man, this Lolita pick really, you can see why it's so good, right? It can sustain, it can last long against the hard combo of Chile right now, and so far it's looking like with the kill from Hay, they're gonna even it out a little bit. They're catching up on the gold slowly but surely here, and they will get turtle. on the bottom side of the map as well.
Oh, two kills for not Meteor. It's two kills for Hay actually, which finally gave Argentina their kills. And as you can see, if the gold was leaning towards the side of Chile earlier, this time Argentina was able to bounce back after that. After those two pickoffs, getting in the turtle here, and again a lot of pressure here on the gold lane. You see the rotations from Meteoro. You see hide on bush as well. In the bush this time. But that's gonna be the rough waves out for Martini and the void crystals just to make them back away. A solid start from Chile, but now it seems to be again it's quiet and they're back on track here for Argentina.
So far, the Eve pick and the Lolita pick are really making a lot of headway for Argentina. They're lasting long enough from the usually very deadly combinations of the Franco and the Kadita. And right now, Martini, I think they have to make more big plays if they want to keep this lead up because Argentina are only 400 away in terms of gold. Their gold lane is catching up, and now they're also doing a swap. Joy is now on the bottom side of the map, and Hey alongside Frost on the top side, trying to see if they can get some advantages by swapping out the gold later and the roam. Obviously, on top side, they will get that turret. They will try to disengage for now.
Oh yeah, that's a very early BOD on the Brody here of Hay. So I was wondering why he has a lot of that burst damage, and it does make sense right now. He's also rocking in. Oh, it's a killing spree emblem here for the Brody. And what Argentina is banking on right now is, despite the fact that Chile got the early start, it seems to be that they're catching up right now and just picking off, taking in those towers. There's the flicker in from Zawu and the Bloody Hunt, and you got the decimation on, and that's gonna be Arctic picked off there on the bottom side. But for Argentina, they got different plans. They're gonna be heading straight towards that turret.
They seem to be having a pretty good rotation, at least for now, and but they are letting go of some parts of the map, specifically that bottom side, and you can only like avoid these hooks, avoid these combos from Zamu Dominante for so long until they actually hit you. And with the decimate from Sugar, it looked like that combo is very deadly. Sugar even stealing out the orange buff. Now, again, there's a lot of big, insane damage dealers here from Chile that are just roaring. They just want to sink their teeth into any target. And the important thing for Argentina is just not give them that. Right now, it is being handed to them. One good hook coming out from Zamu Dominante, resulting in the Frost just going down. And that looks really good so far. The counter engage from Argentina is solid, though. Really good. Oh, there it is. That's going to be 2 kills going down. It's a 2 for 2 Burger King.
Ooh, the gold laner and the roamer here for this. Oh no, it's the jungler and the roamer here for Argentina down. But I think it doesn't matter at that point. I think for Argentina, it was still pretty much a win for them. Their gold laner is just shining right now, 4-1-0 on Hay. As compared to Chile, though, they're giving some answers here. But in that particular clash, it was just more of yeah, Hay was able to free hit everyone at that moment, and despite the fact that Frost and Hide on Bush got taken down, it didn't matter. It's Hay was still pretty much alive at that point, and if this keeps up, it's gonna be more items for Hay, and just as I speak, that's gonna be the Malefic Roar picked up here by that Brody.
Oh my goodness. All right, that's the item that you need. As long as you can dodge all of these hits, which is not happening. It's a shutdown. It's a shutdown right now. Coming in from Sugar and more are following suit. Martini as well with the kills. It is a 2 for none, and that would mean that Chile might get a strong turtle coming in from this one. Sorry, a Lord,
Right,
right?
it all started. Yeah, it all actually started with the well, actually, it was more of the decimation here by Sugar, and then you also got Zamu dominate with that very nice hook flicker in combo, getting in Meteor, the main damage dealers here for Argentina. Very Cutie falls there. With that, there's a Wind Blast, but that's gonna be the Lord secured in by Chile. Arctic falls now, and it's gonna be Frost next on the chopping board. Double kill for the jungler here of Chile, and they got the Lord to boot. This time, they're going to be biting back against Argentina.
Man, that was a huge play. Zamu Dominante's hooks are really making their mark. They're making a big difference. But you know what's funny, Burger Kim? There's no big difference in terms of the gold. It's still pretty even right now with only like 600, 500, and that is, I would say, pretty major, and Argentina even
Mm.
getting a kill behind that.
Yeah, here's the thing for Chile. If you look at the map here and the gold, yeah, it's not a lot, but there's a lot of towers here that Argentina took down. That's like four towers as compared to Chile that only took down one. And with this Lord, they should be able to at least, pressure in the sides or maybe even the mid lane here of Chile. And there you go, Zabu Dominante once again onto Frost. It's a 1v1 duel here. Hey, as well, gonna try to go in for the torn apart memories. Not enough stacks just yet. They have to take care of this Lord, plus the possible pickoffs here. And now Hide on Bush gonna go all the way in, but there's nice Luminous Blast. That's Zabu Dominante, first one to fall. Make that a double kill for Hide on Bush. And now Hey as well, gonna take down another one right after the Lord falls. But Betty Cutie trying to go in and save everyone else. They're not gonna go in for more, but for the side of Argentina, a clear win. But the mid-side tower goes down as well here for Argentina.
All right, I guess if you think about it, that might be best case scenario for Argentina right there. They didn't even give away any kills. They did that fight very solid. Again, Frost and the Meteoro combo is very deadly here, really making everybody on the side of Chile work for their kills, which is happening right now though. Again, Zama Dominante with those bloody hunts, making sure that Benny Cutie has he has a solid target to hit on.
And here's the thing: before Arctic could even pop in the electrifying beats, is Zabu Dominant is like, nah, we're just gonna use that bloody hunt, get Benny Cutie to actually take you down, and that was like a super fast takedown, right? Very lethal combo, like what I mentioned. Once you get the bloody hunt in, there's almost all the time Chile always has a follow up here, and that's actually what makes it so good, right? Like the Franco here of Zamu Dominante, it's just very effective. Plus, I've yet to see like more of the rough waves here from Martini, from the side of Chile.
It's so interesting because that combo from the Kadita and the Franco is just always there, right? It's always something at the back of the mind of the Argentinian players where if you get hooked, just hope that there isn't like a big rough waves ocean breath of the ocean combo coming for you, because otherwise you're gonna be in for a bad time. And right now, I think at least Frost is doing a good job of avoiding these, same as Arctic. But again, you just can't avoid these hooks all day, and that's gonna be the same way that Arctic is gonna go down. Hey, might be in trouble here as well. There's a free-man combo going for the chase here for Chile, and they're not done yet, although no more Bloody Hunt is available. Frost will go down to these passives. The shred coming in from that carry.
Can you imagine? That was just like one pick off. Like it started with Zamu Dominante getting in the bloody hunt. Actually, quite deja vu there for Arctic. He was actually also taken down by Benny Kitty on that top side. And right after that, there was the concealed play by Zamu Dominante, taken down Hey, and eventually it's like one by one, Argentina was shred apart there by Chile. Again, another Lord for the team. It's gonna be marching on the top side, and again, this is just so lethal for Chile. The Argentina team doesn't even know where to position right now. I mean, if you're Eve, right? Like I think Meteoro wanted to land that very nice real world manipulation, but with the threat here of the Franco, with the threat here of Martini's Cadita, it's not really that easy to position yourself.
That's true. It is really hard, and you're gonna have to rely on some really good, really big play to catch multiple members from Chile. You can't really like just what do you call that? You can't just use your Numinal Blast right out of the bat. It has to be some really special. Meteoro making sure that's a thing. Oh, that is a bloody hook there coming in, and Frost is going to go down without a fight right now. It's actually really hard, even though Argentina were fighting under the turret. I think Chile's lineup can actually withstand these hits. And that's making Zamu Dominante just very, very aggressive in this Franco.
You know what's really effective about this lineup here of Chile as well? You see Zamu Dominante most of the time going in for Frost. And speaking of that, that's going to be 2 kills instantly. And now Sniper going to go all the way in for the possible pickoff onto Meteoro. But it is going to be them just clearing out the waves. And now Arctic going to try to avenge his teammates here. Going to try to go for Sugar. But this is such a tanky Martis here. There's the radiant armor. There's the all the helmets as well. So it's not gonna be easy to take him down. But instead, it's gonna be Zamu Dominante falling into the hands here of Arctic.
All right, signs of life right now for Argentina. They're making sure they're not falling behind. They're making sure that they also get some kills so that they can get some parts of the map back into their control. And I think that's very important, especially with a lineup that has a Franco on the other side, right? You want to make sure that you have these bushes under control so you don't get taken by surprise.
Wow, I'm looking at the gold lead here, Rockhart, and it seems like Hay is doing pretty well. That's almost the same, actually, slightly more than Sugar here. So he's almost got a complete item build. He's actually building an Anticuras for his last item. So still pretty much Argentina is winning on the gold lane. So pretty solid. Like it's just a 1.4k despite the fact that Chile has gotten in those massive pickoffs, right? Like you would expect at least like a 3 or 4k gold lead, but most of the time again it's going to be Frost getting greeted there on the bush by the Chile team. And this is the thing I noticed from the playstyle of Chile Rockhart. They're not letting Frost set up those Luminous Blasts. Like most of the time, it's Samu Dominante picking off the roamer here of Argentina, which is what's making it really hard for Argentina to engage.
That's true. It's very difficult for Frost because he's basically the only tank here. Although for some reason, there's still going to be a kill. Sniper goes down on the other side, which is interesting. That just means that Argentina still has some firepower. But right now, they're going to be gonna have to bow down to that one. Arctic actually will also sneak in a quick turret there. Very sneaky. Coming in from the joy of Argentina.
Yeah, it's a quite smart move from Argentina too, right? Like I mean, you would want to contest for the Lord. This is the Luminous Lord for the team of Chile, but they actually had a very good call there. Okay, let's not contest for the Lord. Frost is down, so might as well just take in some towers because Chile's just gonna punish them, right? If they overstay or maybe even find themselves in a position that they don't like. But here it is again, Rockhart. There's the Lord on the bottom side. This should get melted down here, at least by the marksman and the mid laner here of Argentina. But again, Chile is just ruthless here. They're gonna try to go in for, again, the hook. And even the Electro Final Blow is so lethal. And there you go. There's the Numinum Blast finally by Frost. Getting engaged first. Betty Cutie gonna get shut down here by Argentina. The tower falls as well. The Lord is still up, but it is going to get taken down here by Argentina. I think this might be a good call for them to go for the counter engage, but Chile is able to actually, um, go back to safety. And once again, Argentina being very sneaky with the tower takes. They take in the mid inhibitor here of Chile.
I was not expecting that the inhib would go down. That basically means that there really is some level of control still for Argentina, although they are losing out on objectives. They are still able to push out somewhere, and normally a team would not be able to do that. But right now, they are even going to be getting a pick off. Sniper's in trouble, and he will go down. It's a 4v5, 45 seconds. That's a big opening for the blue side.
This is probably like one of the longest games that we've seen too, Rockhard. Like it's just answers after answers, and this is where it makes sense, right? All the bush plays have been paying off here for Chile and Argentina as well. They're striking back now. It's gonna be a nice Luminous Blast here for the side of Argentina. They're gonna go for the engage here. This might actually be it. Two-man down here for Chile. The shutdown on Sugar, and Hayes on a killing spree. Will this be enough? No! They're actually gonna lock in the base. There's so minutes. Okay, they gotta calm down. Benny Cutie's the only one left here. But I think with this 5-man, they're gonna lock it in and finally end the game. Argentina getting in game number 1.
Man, I would have to say I did not expect that to happen out of just one crucial mistake coming out from Sniper. That pickoff on the bottom side of the map. 45 seconds can do so much, and Argentina, they played with that time like there was no tomorrow.
Well, they've been playing that game, right, for Chile. All those deadly bushes that were being set up from start up until mid game. And for Argentina, they actually played the same game in the last few minutes, in the moments that mattered the most. They got to pick off onto Sniper, right? And right after that, it was just, taking apart the the pick-off composition here of Chile. And eventually, it's just like one by one, right? Like, just I can't believe, like, this is where it gets interesting, Rockhart. These games, like, especially when you reach the mid to late game, we're in. I think during the last few minutes there of the game, you can kind of see like the Chile team picking up the immortalities as well. So I think they're just going to buy them some time. But eventually, it was Argentina capitalizing on that one mistake and just going straight for that base. Just beautiful MLBB right there.
I think we saw the downside of having a Franco. You don't have that massive AOE set that we just get with Frost, right? With a big Lolita play. I mean, Zamo Dominante did so many
Right.
crucial hooks. He was barely missing any of those hooks, right? The Bloody Hunt hook. Sometimes he mixes it up, which makes him very, very unpredictable. But in the end, it was just one huge pick off that netted Argentina the win. It was a broken inhibitor on top side, broken inhibitor on bottom side, but it was still enough for them to get that out. And again, that's very there you go. These big plays, they're just things that you can't really do with a Franco, right?
Yep, the AOE of the Lolita, even actually, I think not just for the roamer here, even for the mid laner here of Argentina, the real world manipulation, it just proves to be something that Chile I think they can take on this, right? They know they got a Franco here, they got the Kadita here, but in terms of the range, in terms of the team fights, right, it's more of Argentina. But what made it really hard for Argentina here in the early to mid game was the pickoffs. Like what you mentioned, right? Such a good game from Zamu Dominante. But again, we cannot deny that that late game wherein they did that push play by Argentina. They got in sniper, and eventually it led them to the victory. We're in again. This is not a game all about like the kills, right? It's about how you play it, and I think this game is also a testament to that. Taking in the towers really mattered here for Argentina, right? Like you see, Argentina not contesting in the Lord sometimes just to take in those towers, and I think it was such a wise move. It gave them so much room around the map, right? After taking in the mid lane of Chile.
Yeah, I think it was crucial. I think those crucial last minutes. You just really can't let any single person go because with the lineup that Argentina has, they can really take a team fight in their favor, even though they're like far behind in terms of map control, in terms of wave management. Even though there's broken turrets, broken inhibitors, if you give them an opening, it's just so scary. And that's also one of the downsides of playing the Benedetta. If you miss out on the eye for an eye, it's like, all right, just raise your hands. You're down. You're done. You can't really fight anymore. And we saw that happen earlier, where the Benedetta survivability, it's very mobile. It's very difficult to deal with. But when you pin it down, the Benedetta just can't really get out if you layer the crowd control properly.
And we're heading over to game number two instantly here, Rockhard. You got Chile here on the blue side this time and Argentina on the red side. It's already a match point for Argentina here in this best out of three. Let's see what other strings the Chile team can pull off this time. I don't think it was a draft problem. I don't think it was, early game dominance as well, but it was just a matter of how Argentina was able to play it in those last minutes of the game for game number one. So now let's see if here for Chile, blue side, they got the prio pick. So maybe this time they want to take in heroes like maybe more of a high ground mage. I think the joy there of Arctic in game number one. It was actually pretty good, but what made it really hard for Arctic in that game was the bloody hunt of the Franco. That was just proving to be so lethal. You can't pop in the electrifying beats and you just get taken down there. It was like a Franco carry. I mean, I've yet to see like a Franco Beatrix combo here for the teams. And speaking of marksmen here, Rockhart, that's two marksmen down here for Chile, the Claude and the Wan here.
Ah, they're really making sure that Hay has a hard time in this draft. Interesting. That's basically foregoing any other drafts like the Valentina, like the Arla. We don't mind that, says Chile. We're just gonna focus on Hay, and let's see if that can swing it in their favor. But I'm not sure that's a great idea. Although some teams will do this, right? Some teams will kind of just ban specialty heroes, especially if you're blue side, and then pick up a really really strong first pick. And if you're doing that, the Joy might be the one that you're trying to get, right? You might be trying to get the Joy, you might be trying to get the Valentina, although there are going to be counters to that as well because Faramis is also open.
Mhm.
And I wonder what else is going to be on the line here for Argentina once they get those two picks.
Oh, so the Valentina here is going to be the last ban. The Faramis is still open. And looking at the way this is going here for Argentina, they might either they let the Arlot go or the Joy go. Right, there's just those two top tier heroes as of the moment in the meta, or the Faramis, right? That's like the biggest question most of the time. Those are the heroes that you want to take out, especially if your opponent's on the blue side and it's going to be the Arlot. I wouldn't be surprised if Chile actually picks up the Joy here in the, yeah, for the first pick.
Joy is open as well as the Faramis, but neither one gets picked. Their priority is that Eve. And I don't blame them, Burger Kim. That Eve in the last game really was a big game changer, like you
Mhm.
mentioned.
The AOE, right? It's massive here. It makes sense that their last ban was the Valentina. So, I'm not so sure if Argentina will get a high ground mage here as well. Like maybe pick up the Farsa in this first phase, to actually equalize it when it comes to the AOE. So now Argentina, they got a couple of questions here. What will they go for first? The Faramis is still open if they want to go for the dives, but it Argentina just got it right. Like you're banning out all these marksman heroes, and if they don't pick up a marksman right now, it's gonna be hard for them to get like that upper hand, right? So Melissa, great amount of range, and as well as it can protect itself. So for Chile here, next possible option should be like when it comes to the marksmans, the Beatrix, the carry
Mm-hmm.
that Benny Cutie has actually picked up in game number one, and they got a very solid first pick here. Great AOE. And what can they pair that up with? Will they go for like maybe a Lolita here? But still, yeah, you know what? Zamu Dominante got a great game with the Franco, and this is what made it hard for Arctic to play in the Joy, right? The Bloody Hunt. And as I was talking about the Beatrix, wow, this is it. The little combo of the Beatrix, like if in game number one we've seen like a Franco and the carry, this is also pretty lethal, right? Like Franco and Beatrix.
That's true. I feel like this is one of those combos where if you really lock down one target, oh my god, there's just so much damage that that this lineup can do right now, even with just these free picks, right? Even with just the hook into a real world, the hook into like a huge shower of bullets coming out from the Beatrix. It's so big. That's so important. But right now, also, don't forget you have to consider that. Oh, look at that. That's
Oh.
interesting. I was not expecting a Kadita pick here coming in from Argentina. Uh, that's not something you see every day right now. You don't usually see the Kadita go out like this without a combo. So I wonder what they're gonna
Mhm.
combo with this Kadita right here, or is this gonna be a
Oh, you
roam
know what?
Kadita, right?
Yeah, I was gonna point that out. Like I was thinking it might actually be a Rome Kadita. They might actually pick up the Farsa here on the second phase. Like put the Kadita in the Rome to have more AoE, right? Like this is Argentina might wanting to pick up the Farsa, not unless Chile will ban that out. This might actually just be Argentina signaling Chile, okay, this might be our mid laner. So instead, right, this is going to be really confusing for Chile on what to ban out. And they actually ban out the Lolita here, gearing up for the fact that this might actually be a mid laner Kadita. So it's just mind games here for both sides, right? So Chile, either they take away another jungler or another roamer. Again, we cannot confirm like if this is a good, this is a roam Kadita or a mid lane Kadita. But if I were Argentina, I would want to pick up that Farsa to have a lot more range here as well with their composition, because so far it's only like dives from the Joy and the Kadita. So
Yeah.
not so sure what they have planned here for the second drafting phase. Maybe perhaps like get in more sustain here, because it looks like the Joy. It might actually be Joy in the jungle here for Argentina.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised if we saw something really, really new in the
Hmm.
Rome department. Are they gonna go still with the pause for mid Kadita? I think they
Hmm.
will. They need some solid frontliners, and Terizla's definitely a very solid frontliner, but they need one more. They can't rely on just the Terizla here.
I think they're waiting for the last two picks here of Chile as well, right? They might actually adjust their last pick to that, like either a Rome Kadita, put it in the mid lane if they want to go in for more sustain. But again, it all depends on this last two picks here of Chile. The Martis was already taken out here. I haven't seen so much Fredrins today. Not so sure if actually I think the Fredrin would still work here for the side of
Oh,
Chile. Yeah, I mean, there's really no hero to burst this Fredrin down. They've already picked up the Melissa here, which means the carry's already out, so they can really pick up this Fredrin here. And the Kadita can't really burst down the Fredrin, right? But when it gets that Athena shield up. So here's the biggest question: is this going to be a roam Kadita or is it going to be a mid lane Kadita?
well, we'll find out. Because if that Joy really is going on the jungle, I mean, cat all cards are on the table right now, right? I mean, they can do basically
Mm-hmm.
anything they want with the lineup they flexed here. Burger Kim. I don't think there's gonna be much difference if you go for like a like an Atlas or something. Although
Mm-hmm.
they might be lacking in terms of damage, and they're trying to
Right.
make that up. I mean, if you're looking for balance in terms of damage and tankiness, you know what? A Grok is a great way to go.
Oh, I was actually expecting like a Kadita. I actually wanted to point it out. I was expecting like a Kadita Kaja combination,
Mhm.
because the Franco's already picked up there by Chile, and the only other hero that can pick off the Eve is the Kaja, right? The Divine Judgment. So I was expecting like maybe a mid Kadita, then pick up another roam. So for the composition there of Argentina, it's more of the dives. So I was actually surprised that there wasn't a Faramis. But yeah, I mean, dives, there's no hard times tanks, but mostly on the ground. So you're going to have to rely on the wild charge here of Frost. So we have yet to see that. If this was a similar playstyle that we've seen in game number one for Argentina, they're actually pulling it off again here for game number two. So this is more of like dive as compared to team fight that they had in game number one.
At the very least, there's an easy way for the Kadita to engage still, right? Sometimes people always keep thinking about the Franco because you just click it and then there's an instant person that's not moving, and then you can throw out all your skills, your rough waves, your breath of the ocean. But you can also do that with a Grok. You have a wild charge, and maybe that's going to be something that might seal the deal for them around that mid lane. But it will be difficult, right? It is going to be an Eve in the mid lane for Chile, and we are loading up onto game number two, where we are seeing that early on. Zamo Dominante is positioning himself very, very aggressively on the top side of the map.
Oh, wow. Hey actually spots him out here. And with the Grok here in the mid lane, you see Meteoro as well on the bottom side to assist Arctic. So it's going to be up to Frost clearing out the wave here for their side. But that's going to give like a slight upper hand there to Benny QT there on the gold lane up against Hay. But for both sides, no, it's a matter of the pokes here that they're doing. Now, hide on bush, this might actually just be a damage joy. You see the damage onto Sugar that doesn't have the items just yet. And speaking of damage, right, that's gonna be hide on bush picking up that
Oh,
arcane boots early on. Oh,
there's gonna
Frost,
be a flicker
really
going
really
out.
low.
Oh, Frost. All right,
Okay, he still
they're gonna be able
survives.
to make it out at least. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, it was Meteoro in the nick of time, right? Like, okay, I got you. I got your back there. And yeah, no, he didn't pick up he didn't click the petrify. So it was more of the ocean oddity there of Meteoro, just to make the members here of Chile back away. Or that would have been actually the first blood being picked up by Chile once again. We're not seeing so much engages, but more of the pokes, right, on all of the lanes here, especially for Argentina, right? And Sniper actually having a hard time just reach that level 4 just now.
Yeah, he's having a hard time getting out of lane as well because everyone's just so busy trying to keep that mid lane alive here for Chile. Because right now Argentina has all the cards on the table for this turtle. I think they're gonna take it quite easily. We also see a strong presence from Arctic, even in the early stages of the game. That's just something that you can't do with a Lapu Lapu yet. Need to wait for those items, and
Oh!
Sugar gets the steal. Oh my god, that was so massive. First blood going over to Argentina, but the turtle will fall. Double kill. And I would say that's a good exchange for a turtle, Burger Kim.
Mhm.
3 going down in favor of Argentina.
Did you see the penalty zone there from Arctic? He's like, yep, okay, you guys got the turtle. We gotta bounce back. And they landed it nicely onto three. So that was Samu Dominante, Sugar, and Sniper going down instantly there and picking up 3 kills for Argentina, despite the fact that Chile was actually able to pick up that turtle. So great answer here from the Argentinian team. Quite different from game number one, wherein they really struggled here with the kills in the start of the game.
Yeah, early on, Argentina relying on those kills to get them ahead, which is surprising because you expect the team with the Franco to have a more aggressive early game. It's the other way around right now in this specific matchup. It's so interesting. Frost even diving in straight with a wild charge in a very unexpected angle. Hayes on the back line. He's doing some good damage, but Meteoro can't really sustain all the damage coming in from Benecutie as well as Martini.
Yeah, you see like Martini getting in a very nice position there. The members of Argentina wasn't able to actually go near with that real world manipulation up, and Benny Cutie once again here, just having that positioning to kite everyone away, and now Arctic getting that penalty zone onto two. It's a 2v1 situation. There's still some life steal here. He's gonna still duel here with Sugar and Sniper. Okay, still survives out of that one and is able to recall back to safety. That was crazy. 2v1 situation, is still able to survive. Oh, okay, it's thanks to the Bloodlust Axe. Okay, if he didn't have that, that
Yeah,
would have been such a struggle for him.
that is true. I don't blame you, Sniper, for trying really hard, but the passive of a Terizla just makes him so tanky in the early game. That's going to be turtle number 2 going over to Chile in this one. And I would say that in Argentina, they're making good time here.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the range here, in terms of team fights, Chile has it, right? Like, you got the real manipulation, you got the Fredrin to soak up all the damage from the front line, but it seems like Argentina is always, again, one step ahead of Chile here, either getting a pick off before the team fight even starts. Like you see Sugar down, or maybe even Zamu Dominante down right before the clash starts. And now there's going to be some pressure here on the top side, knowing that this is going to be a problem for them in the late game. And so far, Benny Cutie is doing really well here in this gold lane, getting in that BOD early on. And now, speaking of the team fights, it's going to start up once again. Hey, with a very nice positioning there. And once again, Zamu Dominante in the middle of everything. Flicker out there by Frost, but it is still going to be the Void Crystal being able to take him down. And now Sugar, a little bit too late to the party, gets bursted down there by Argentina, and still Argentina on the lead right now.
We're seeing a very glaring problem of the side of Chile where if Martini already uses the real world manipulation, there's no one that can reach Hay. Oh, that was beautiful. If Zamu Dominante doesn't hit those hooks onto Hay, you can't reach the Melissa. No one can actually go and dive onto him unless you commit Sniper or Sugar to dive, which by the moment that they walk onto the Melissa, they already would have received so much damage.
Oh, and here's the thing too. We have to watch out for Benny Cutie, right? Like you haven't seen him so much just yet, like 202 on the Beatrix. Plus the fact that he's actually leading in terms of gold here up against Hay. So that's 5k and Hay only has 4.5k. So which kind of explains the damage that he has on the Beatrix. BOD I think going in for maybe even the Heptasis here for the second item. But, Argentina knows that very well. They should just pick up all the objectives here. And now Frost again to soak up all the damage. Hay on the backside. And Sugar right now tanking up all the damage. Gets in the Praises Rat onto Meteoro. But not for long. There's Arctic there with the penalty zone. Of the three members, again, he's just doing this so well. But Cutie gonna get that shutdown. Double kill picked up by Argentina, but it is going to still be the shutdown goal that will matter here for Chile. Benny Cutie on a killing spree. I was just pointing this out. They get in the middle tower here for Argentina, and it is just a good answer here from the Chile team.
Yeah, Chile are really catching up here in terms of gold as well. Even though they did lose out on the objectives, they are kind of winning some of these trades, especially around the plays where Zamo Dominante is playing around with Benny Cutie as well. So big props to the Chile squad. I still wonder what they're gonna do about the Melissa problem they have right now. Arctic, do you see that zone? I know there was a penalty zone, but he also did his zone of his own with three members
Mhm.
of Chile there, so there's still a fighting chance here for Argentina for sure.
Yeah, and Chile right now, they're just capitalizing on the fact here that Benny Cutie is just dominating on this lane, getting in all the items that he needs. And right now, Hay as well, very nice position there. Not even popping up that Inspire just yet. So the gold lead, again, this is pretty much like game number one, wherein the gold lead is just so close. I think we might see another more than 15 minutes game type here, not unless Argentina will close it out. Hey, once again gonna try to shred apart the tower. There's a real manipulation to clear out the waves, make sure that Argentina backs away. They're really low here, but look at Hide on Bush, gets into Praiser's Wrath, and there's the Bloody Hunt onto Arctic. He's really low here, but still wanting to fight up against Chile. What's with Arctic today here? Very, very excited to go up against the Chile team. He survives this 3v1
Wow.
situation. Still alive at this point. Yeah, he was shut down
Yeah,
once.
and while
Oh
all
no,
of that
hey.
happened, actually looking so good is the backline of Argentina. He's able to do so much because of what Arctic is doing, Burger Kim.
Yeah, Benny Cutie actually using the flicker in, right? And you can kind of see that this weapons master is just proving to be so lethal right now. I mean, with the POD, Maleficer actually was the item there of Benny Cutie. So it's just shredding apart the front line here of Argentina. And it is just going to be so much easier to reach Hay. And there's the Petrify. Onto Zamu Dominante is really low. And he gets taken down there by Hay. Still untouchable at this point. And now Sniper going to go in for the bravest fighter. And Benny Cutie still on a rampage right now as Hay gonna get taunted there by Sugar. There's the Inspire up. There's the shutdown on Benny Cutie by Hide on Bush while they were all focusing their attention on Hay. He's still alive, by the way. That was a nice pick off by Hide on Bush from the backside. Pop in that electrifying beats and finally shut them down. The storm, well, the Chili storm, which is Benny Cutie, and they go straight for the Lord here. I'm not so sure if there's gonna be any contest, but the Chile members, they're actually quite far from this one, so that's gonna be Argentina picking up this first Lord of the game.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing the Chilean sniper here. The Chilean storm, Benny
Storm.
Cutie, as you can see. It's so difficult. I think we saw earlier how it really was difficult to reach the Melissa, right? And even if you do reach the Melissa, like we saw with Sugar, you just can't hit her. It's so hard to really take her down. Like there it is. Like you just said it right there. It's Sugar it's so hard to reach it, and because of that, the free hit from the Melissa is just so deadly.
Yeah, at this point, like they only took down Hay once. Actually, there's no shutdown goal just yet. But again, Benny Cutie, once he just respawned back up, it's just so hard to reach him. And now we're getting some nice angles here. Lord is still up, by the way. Bottom side there, gonna go down as the Argentinian team is just taking down towers after towers. And I'm actually curious about the weather in Chile, right? Like, is it always stormy? I mean, it's near a body of water, so I'm not so sure if they should be getting in a couple of storms there. I don't know. What do you
I'm
think?
pretty sure. Yeah. And right now it's gonna be. I wonder if that's gonna be enough, right? If the Chilean
Mhm.
storm is gonna be enough to actually make a difference in terms of like
Mhm.
getting these fights, because it's so hard to get the fights, especially if Arctic and Frost are healthy. But this time around, they're gonna be able to catch out Frost. Oh, everyone's just flying in the air! Oh my God, it's a disaster for Chile right now. Only two members remaining and no one going down on Argentina's side.
Well, I can't believe Frost was still alive after that point, right? Like, I mean, with all the skills being thrown onto him, he still had that slither of HP, was able to survive, gets that wild charge out of there. And what's really nice about that clash for Argentina was that Hay was able to free hit everyone, and Meteoro was actually able to land in that very nice rough waves combo, actually taking down Sugar and Sniper at that point. And it's a good thing though for Chile that their damage dealers were untouched at that point. So Benny Cutie and Martini were still alive. So I think that is the silver lining after that clash. But again, they have to answer out to this, right? Hay hasn't been shut down just yet. And speaking of Hay, right? He picks up this Sea Halberd that I haven't seen for a while. Like I love the buff on the Sea Halberd because most of the time, like there's really no anti heal when it comes to the physical damage dealers. Like usually you pick up the dominance eyes, right, or maybe even the demon hunter sword. But with the buff on the Sea Halberd, it's slowly resurfacing in the Land of Dawn.
Yeah, it actually has adds so much penetration as well. So definitely
Mhm.
one of the most underrated items so far in the game, right? And especially right now, you will need that. You will need that anti heal, and the
Mhm.
bigger AOE, the better. And right now, oh my goodness, there you go. Hayes just not slowing down at all, but it is also a big deal if you think about the front line. Frost staying alive as well. Sniper can't really reach the Melissa, being punished so hard when they try to do that. Here they go again. Betty Cutie on the backside, getting taken out by Hide on Bush. It is a cleanup, and that might be it. They do not need to go for the Lord. Zamu Dominante, the
This is
only
it.
player remaining for Chile. Oh my goodness, that might
Oh,
be it.
la.
This could
This
be
should
the
be
game
it.
here for Argentina.
Played it nice and slow. That timers are up here, rock hard. Oh no, there's the penalty zone while Hay is just locking in that tower. And Argentina this time starting out the day with a clean sweep.
And that is exactly how you play that Melissa. Man, we got a taste of really how the Argentinian players here draft. That Melissa went under the radar for us in the draft, to be honest, but it made the biggest difference into this matchup. Apparently, those hooks just aren't enough to really stop her, right? It's just so difficult to catch her, even with the Eve. So overall, that Eve was definitely punished, although it did make a big difference in the big team fights. What were they gonna do about this Melissa problem?
Right? I mean, it's like two solid front lines. You got like tanky front lines, right? And after that, Sea Halberd, it was pretty much really difficult to reach the Melissa. I mean, there were attempts, right, by Sniper, but again, it's just very deadly to go up against a Melissa, especially when it has that go away, the ultimate of the Melissa. You have that extra shield, and then you can actually see like a lot of outplays done there by Hay in that particular moment. And I do have to commend as well the wild charges here by Frost. We haven't seen um, a lot of those good ones, but it actually aided a lot of the very nice the kills picked up actually here by the Melissa. So it was overall like a very great team fight for the side of Argentina in game number one and game number two. And actually, it's mostly all the time. Like Argentina always has those last minute wins, right? Like okay, in the last minute, all they needed to do was pull off that one big team fight, and it just sealed the deal for them to get in this clean sweep.
Yeah, that's something that we saw in game number one, right? Where it looked really bad, but this time around it looked really good for Argentina just all throughout the game. There were some moments where you think maybe Chile could make it, maybe Chile could do it. They had to pick off, but no, Argentina was definitely in a stronger position here in game number two. And I think a big factor in that is Hyde on Bush and Frost. I don't know how they managed to stay alive with the lineup that Chile
Right.
has, right? I mean, that was really good.
I mean, it's not really like a Fredrin that you have up, right? Like you can soak up the damage. It was a Grok. So there were times really, I'd have to say, like you guys probably didn't really notice this because most of the time all our eyes were on either Benny Cutie, Meteoro, and Hay in those clashes, right? But we didn't see Frost. Like he always manages to escape, and Arctic as well, right? With the penalty zone. I think that was one of the adjustments that were made as well in the patch, like the penalty zones, like AOE is much bigger. So you kind of see him like flickering in to the back line there of Chile, which is what made it really difficult for them. I think we can see it here in the highlights of the game. There was a struggle in the early game, and there was a time wherein Benny Cutie just really, really shine in the lane. And this is what I was saying, like Arctic just able to do these like 3v1 duels, or maybe I think at one point he was doing like a 4v1 duel, and he still
Yeah,
manages to survive, and it's crazy.
he's definitely he was star player material in this game, right? Despite obviously the score line will be in favor of Hyde on Bush, it'll be in favor of Hay. I mean, none of that would have been possible if Arctic wasn't playing 1v3 all the time, all game long. And I have to commend him for that as well. And Benny Cutie, you know what's surprising? This Beatrix actually had a pretty decent score line. I think it was 8
Right.
2 or 9-2, something like that.
Hmm.
But again, just all of your damage onto just Benny Cutie just wasn't enough. What happened here was Sugar and Sniper were basically frontliners. They were trying really hard to just try to take advantage of their tankiness to try
Hmm.
to just be the meat shield, but no one can actually become a meat shield in front of a Melissa for that long, especially with a good lineup that they have here. Meteoro doing a good job of keeping the mid lane in control for Argentina at the very least, right?
Yeah, look, this is what I was talking about. Like Arctic always has these he's actually not afraid to dive in, and look at that. That's what I was saying, right? Like when everyone's all eyes on the side of Argentina, right? Like you don't really see Arctic diving in the back lines, and that really is what made the difference here for the side of Argentina. Is they picked off the back lines before they could even start, and most of the time his target here for Arctic was either Benny Cutie or Martini, right? And to the point that the rest of the members here of Argentina will be able to shine. So I think he's definitely the unsung hero here of our game number two. So overall, I think Argentina had a much better early game here in game number two, and eventually, Melissa here of Hay was unstoppable, and you kind of see the respect that Chile gave Hay in the drafting phase, right? Like you see like two or three bans on the marksman hero.
Yeah, that penalty zone looks huge right now. I get what you mean. I,
Right.
I I see that right there, especially in a small area, in a very tight corridor. It really is apparent, and it's making really big waves here. And again, in we're seeing on the replay is just so difficult to reach. Hey, he basically did every damage that they needed. But again, Arctic just keeping everyone alive. Look at that. Even in the very last moment, Arctic almost dying, but not quite.
Yeah, the penalty zone, right? It's just punishing the members there, Chile. And I think overall that was such a, I would say, very good game for Arctic, as well as Hay, with the Melissa. So I think if they didn't pick up that Melissa early on, that would have been like a lot more bans on the marksman hero. So just massive respect as well to the gold laner here of Argentina for making the plays. I would have to say that if it's not Hay, I mean, in terms of the stats, right, it should be Hay. But I have to give props as well to Arctic and Frost for setting up the plays here in game number two.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, you were able to. Hay was definitely able to flourish very well with Frost. I mean, I know yesterday Frost's Grok had a very hard time against Brazil, but this time around, Frost really took the stage in terms of getting those knockups. I mean, sometimes he didn't even need the complete knockup against a wall. Sometimes he just literally passes through targets, and it's enough. That split second of the players of the enemies in the air is enough to buy time. Is enough for the rest of the team to make a big play. So all of that again is being capitalized on by the Melissa, which again I'm surprised at this point. I think more teams are gonna start picking up that Melissa after this game because you see, as long as you can keep the Melissa alive, even with the especially with the addition of the Sea Halberd, I think that can really destroy a lot of lineups. And yeah, that's something that some teams that will face Argentina will definitely look forward to in the drafting phase of their coming games.
Yeah, it's such a big thing, right? Like usually the answers to the tanky frontliners are the heroes like the carry or the Lunox, these tank shredders. But I think with the buff on the Sea Halberd, it really does make a difference there for Hay. And there was a lot of just really a lot of good outplays there by Hay in the entire game. Arctic as well. I think for me, I love the Terizla back in play for the XP lane. I mean, for the longest time we haven't seen this. We've seen a lot of Esmeraldas. We've seen I think for at some time we've seen like a Grok in the XP lane, but Terizla, right? Like one of the most underrated heroes as well. I think it was one of the heroes that was sitting at the bottom of the pick list. So it's nice to see these heroes slowly rising up in the meta right now. And I think for the Terizla, I also love the adjustment that was made for its ultimate, despite the fact that they've actually adjusted the first skill of the Terizla, so there's not a lot more slows with his first skill. So, but the AOE is just a bit more massive here. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see more of these type of um, XP laners. I mean, most of the time we've seen like Glue, right? Glue, Lapu Lapu most of the time, but Terizla, right, worked really well here for Argentina.
Yeah, and that's exactly the result that you get when you throw in players together like this, right? You just see more innovation coming in from the players who are really keeping their eyes on the patch, and they're trying really hard to find which heroes they can use to get an advantage over their opponent. And definitely that's something that we saw Arctic do here on the Terizla. Big props to the Argentina team for making a very beautiful draft, and at the same time executing them very well, right? I mean, overall, I think it was just exactly what you would expect from a lineup like this. It was very well rounded. There were no big what do you call that? There was no big holes or chinks in the armor for the Argentina lineup. And as for Chile, I expect them to do a lot better in their next games, and I would think maybe they can try out some new stuff. Maybe Zamo Dominante, I want to see more of his lineups as well. We've only seen the Franco so far,
Franco.
which is interesting. So maybe we can find what
Mhm.
else he can find out. But for now, it is going to be Argentina with the victory. And MVP for that game, I would say, is a very clear cut. It is going to be
Mhm.
Hey there, coming in with the Melissa in game number 2 as well, 18-4. That was pretty good KDA of 5.9 as well. He farmed up very nicely, especially in the game where maybe he would have had a harder time, right? Against a Beatrix. But no, Hey, against all odds, were able to really dish out and make a stand. Even in a game that had two Francos in them, right? In both
Mhm.
games, they had two Francos. So big props to Hey on that one.
Yes, a lot of damage, right? Six-digit damage on the Melissa. I mean, it just goes to show, right? Like 18 kills. That's just a lot for the Melissa. Lots of outplays too. But for Argentina, congratulations for taking in the series with a clean sweep. And I think this is a nice thing for them, right? Like, because yesterday they started it out really slow. They were actually swept by Brazil, and now they actually get in the sweep themselves this time. So congratulations to Argentina. And as for Chile, we have yet to see more. Right? I wouldn't say it was a one-sided game. Actually, it's a very good game for Chile. Right? It was like a back and forth game. It wasn't really super dominant, but props to them for actually putting up a great fight here up against Argentina. So we're now going to be going on to a quick break first before we head over to our next best out of three. This is Burger Kim and Rockhart. See you after this break.
And welcome back, everybody. Ladies and gents, this is the IESF WEC 2023 America's Region Qualifiers, and we are your casters of Rockhard alongside Burger Kim. That was a very quick break, and we are back at it again for the second series for the day. gonna be Guatemala versus Panama.
Mhm. New teams for today. You've seen Panama yesterday play, right? So it's gonna be Guatemala, a new team that you guys haven't seen yesterday. So we have again. This is kind of like Chile that we haven't seen their play style, but Chile actually had a very good run, by the way, in the first best out of three series for today. So we have for Panama, they've already had their intro. For our Guatemala team, let's take a look at what they will pull off here in the second phase. We've seen a lot of teams here actually, Rockhart, that are quite good already with the current meta. I mean, most of the time, like in qualifiers for other regions, you'd see like different picks. We've actually seen it yesterday, but they're actually pretty up to date with the meta here in the other side of the world. Well for us, right? So let's take a look at the roster here, Rockhart, of Guatemala. And
And
Vindrax for
Vindrax.
Guatemala. Ah, does that mean
Yeah,
something, or
so
is
I don't think so. I'm not sure. Maybe we can ask. But what's interesting is, the sub is gonna be the main. Is in the main five. Hey, I don't. I usually, subs are usually in the sixth. They're the sub players, but no, they're the sub. The sub isn't the main player right now. So that's something that's very
yeah,
interesting
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if we saw this yesterday, but yeah, I would love to see more from Guatemala. Um, on the other hand, I think that hopefully, right, we'll see something interesting because I don't have again. I will have to reiterate when I said yesterday. I have never really seen a player play from Guatemala, so this is gonna be a new experience for me personally.
Ooh, sub. Yeah, I actually got confused for us. Like, this is the sub. Are you talking about the sub player for Guatemala playing like Zeus Prime, right? He's listed as the sub here, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wait, there's actually a player named Sub in the roster. So yeah, he's gonna be playing in the main five. So I'm like, yeah, yeah, I got what you're trying to point out. I'm like, sub. Oh yeah, I was thinking about yeah, what you were pointing out there. So sub in the main roster, we've seen the Guatemalan roster. Let's take a look at the Panama roster just shortly. But you guys already got a teaser yesterday. So let's take a look at who will be playing today. So I think this is virtually the same roster that played yesterday. So you got Baby, you got Ayasim, you got Hacker, Scooby, and Michael Kaiser playing for Panama today.
Yeah. I hope that they've already recovered from yesterday's loss. It was so. It was very one-sided, and I'm wondering what else they can probably show us. I know they tried. They also tried to pull off a Minotaur in the Rome, which is definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them. Right. I love seeing the Minotaur. It just so happens that maybe the composition didn't really call for it. It was very difficult to pull off, and it was very much easily read. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. No fast game, no perfect game today, maybe, so we can really see how these teams are gonna shine in their own way.
Ooh, Guatemala too, right? I'm curious what they will pull off since again these are this is really good, especially since like if you don't really have that much information about the teams just yet, or for people who are watching for the very first time, or you're kind of getting an intro of what they can pull off. So we've seen a lot of Caditas today, actually Caditas and Francos that were spammed in the first two games of
Yeah.
today. It's more of like pickoffs, more of assassinations for game number one or the series number one. But let's head over straight into the drafting phase here for Guatemala and Panama, and they're going to be starting it off with the Fanny ban here of Guatemala. So actually, this is a thing as well. In well, I've been to the Mekong region, and this is also a thing. Like Fanny is always almost on the ban list. So I think for today, it's all 100% ban on the Fanny.
Yeah, it's looking really good so far. I would say the Fanny is something that a lot of it's like an international language, right? You everyone
Mhm.
just loves to play Fanny, especially the top players, the kids with the very fast finger movements. Um, they know that if they use a Fanny properly, they can really dominate the game. And I love that teams really recognize that. You know what? We can't give this away. We're gonna have to play this Fanny, and we're gonna ban out this Fanny, and we're gonna play some really meta compositions, and that's exactly what we're seeing here right now.
Oh, they even banned out the Melissa, right? I mean, after that game of Hey, you just gotta be scared that that hero might actually pop up. Plus, it has a really great range. Plus, it's also someone that is, well, virtually untouchable, not unless you have like a burst mage in the backlines that can take it down. But the Melissa, one of the rising picks as well in the gold lane. I love it because ever since the Melissa was released, it hasn't been used and abused, right? So I love seeing it shine right now. Definitely well deserved spot, but we're seeing a lot of meta bans here for the side of Panama and Guatemala, and they're gonna be starting it up with this once again. The Eve, great high ground for their side, and pretty much goes to show what type of composition that they want. So it's more of like team fights. I wouldn't be surprised if there are like CC tanks here, like the Atlas or maybe even the Lita for the side of Guatemala. So it's more of like team fights here. Will they answer it out with like a Farsa here for Panama, or maybe even pick up the hero here of Narco Baby already? Because yesterday we've seen so far on a Narco Baby, we've seen a Cecilion and a Lilia. So not so much of the high ground mages, mostly on the burst type.
Yeah, one thing's for sure. Panama was definitely watching last game, and you don't usually see a Melissa first ban, and we are seeing it right now here. Although right now Panama already securing up very tanky heroes here, Burger Kim. I think that kind of shows us that they plan to really start up the game, the team fights really strong.
I like this Yuzong, right? This might actually be signaling that Panama might get the Farsa. Yuzong is so underrated in the XP lane. I mean, it's such a great answer to these backline damage dealers, especially for the Beatrix and the Yuzong. And yeah, we were just talking about this earlier on when we started the show, wherein the X-Borg is such a popular pick here in the Americas. And we're seeing it once again here for Panama as their third and final pick here for the first phase. So solid tanky front line here. So we still have yet to see a gold lane and a mid lane here. So Guatemala might actually ban out those heroes. And the Minotaur, like what you mentioned, great buff on it, and it's gonna be the first ban here for Panama.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they are gonna be the ones to ban it out when I was expecting that they would be the ones to pick it up, maybe, right? So that's interesting. At the same time, they already do have the Kufra, so that's kind of already expected. Now, what we're gonna have to find out here, or what we're gonna have to look forward to here, is what's gonna be the Rome situation looking like here for Guatemala. Now that we've also seen an Atlas being banned out.
Mm.
That's a very specific. These are very specific bans
Mhm.
out for Minotaur and of course for the Atlas.
Yeah, I mentioned it, right? Like team fight is what Guatemala wants, especially since you got an Eve, right? You want to have that wombo combo, and I understand these last two picks from Panama, but there's still one option left for them to take, the Lolita for great CC as well. So now Panama has already gotten a good, solid front line here. And I haven't seen this for a long time, Rockheart, the Nathan, that had a lot of nerfs in the previous patches, but it's slowly resurfacing right now in the meta. I'm not so sure how this will do up against a Matrix. I remember when it was released before, this was so OP. Like I don't want to go up against this. It has an insane amount of burst, but I think the recent patches, it actually was more of like Nathan getting in those magic items, kind of like the Kimi, right? So totally getting in those Feather of Heaven, and even the Genius One. You can slowly start to see it on the Nathan. But we're seeing Panama hover over a lot of interesting heroes here. I'm not so sure what they'll go
Mm-hmm.
for. A lot of late game, if ever this is the case. I mean, they got solid three frontliners here, and they
Oh,
want to seal the deal here by picking up that Cecilia once again. For Narco Baby, I'm not so sure if they switched up the roles there because I remember Narco Baby was on mid.
that was pretty massive, I would say, and it's so fast. At least for Guatemala, I like that instantly locked in the Lolita because that's exactly what I would do actually. If there was a Nathan, if I saw a Nathan on the other side, there's a term that we use where we say when you get hit by a Nathan, very fast discs, you see it feels like you're getting
Mhm.
lasered down, right? And you don't want that to happen. And getting a Lolita is a great way to stop that. Now that we are seeing that Panama's win condition is very clear, it's super late game in the
Mhm.
in the goal lane for the marksman, and super late game in the mid as well with the Sicilian.
Mhm.
It's very common knowledge that it takes a long time for a Sicilian to really ramp up in terms of damage. So yeah, in the early game, it's all up to the export to control the tempo of these games for Panama.
Yeah, the X-Borg and the Kufra, as well as the Yuzong, right? That should be able to sustain at least their XP lane. So I'm a bit worried about if ever the side of Guatemala will actually be super aggressive here because they can, right? This is such a balanced composition. You also got the Martis on the XP lane, so that's not going to be very easy, right? Good for Guatemala, they got this all-rounder type of composition, great high ground. As for the Golden as well, great amount of pokes. So I'm not so sure if Panama will be able to survive this early game. That should be all right as long as Michael Kaiser is able to keep Vindrax contained here in the XP lane.
Yeah, the timing is so critical. Like it's all about survival for the Panama lineup, and for Guatemala, they can just basically do whatever they want on the map,
Mhm.
and we're seeing exactly that. You can see a big roam on the bottom side here for the mid duo of Guatemala, and they're really diving
Mm.
hard on the Narco baby. They're gonna take him out for first blood.
Oh, now Michael Kaiser here. Gonna use that Petrify and the Sha Essence. Will be able to buy him some time and get that life steal. And I want to point out though, Narco Baby actually played mid, so they had a switch up of roles. You see Scooby on the mid lane and Hacker on the jungler position. So you've also like this is the same roster that played yesterday, right? But a slight switch up of roles. I'm not so sure if this is best. Maybe they wanna try to shake things up here for their side, and this goes to show that they're also very flexible. And now it seems like Panama gonna go in for the last insanity, causing the members of Guatemala to flicker out to safety. But they might actually get punished here by the side of Guatemala, and that's gonna be Hacker falling under the hands here of Guatemala. 3 kills by the Guatemalan team, not even 2 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, talk about trying to shake things up rather. It's a nice try coming in from Panama, but the Exporg's damage in the early game is just it's not super ideal, and there are a lot of ways to dash out or avoid it, especially if you use the flicker early on. And we're just seeing very strong performance here from Guatemala. They're really diving in on Panama's lineup whenever they're given the chance, although there is a counter engage right now. Michael Kaiser with the counter. Vindrax actually might be in trouble here. Nice pushback, and a Numenal blast stops Panama's lineup in its tracks.
That's sort of 3-man Numenon Blast. Well, that was actually to make them back away from that clash. Nice setup there by Sub. 3 kills by Guatemala, and it just goes to show if this keeps again for Panama, if this keeps on going here in the early to mid, they will definitely have a hard time, right? So they have to at least keep their sides contained, and we're seeing Ayasim actually rotating towards that gold lane. They really struggled as the Narco Baby was actually the first one to get taken down earlier on, and now we see Sub here given vision to the side of the Guatemalan team, forcing them to back away from that one. And this is what makes it really difficult when you have an Eve, and you see why Guatemala really prioritize this pick is because your heroes can't really move forward here for Panama, right? The Sicilian is actually a hero wherein you need to be in a certain range to kite the members here of Guatemala, and he can't really do that just yet because it's just 3 minutes in, and there you see Ayasim going in for the dive onto Shindo. There's the Numenon Blast, and Hacker once again fallen down if from that clash, and that's going to be Guatemala once again off to a great start here.
Yeah, I mean, counter engage per counter engage here. Sub's actually doing a great job, and you're absolutely right. If you try to if you try to go hard with a lineup that has an Eve, more often than not, you are going to be the one who gets punished because of the real world and the void crystal slowing you down nonstop. And that just makes it so hard for the Kufra of Panama to actually make a play. And you have to really think twice before you try to do an engage. Right now, that's exactly what they're doing here. Although they will be
Mhm.
punished once more. That's going to be Zeus Prime with a kill on the Scooby. And more gold going over to the side of Guatemala.
Oh, I think Panama should just really avoid all these clashes first. I mean, Guatemala just has all the resources here right now, all the kits to be actually making in the play. So I don't think it's going to be very wise to just dive in. Maybe just give a lot more time here for to Narco Baby and Scooby to get in the items that they need. And we all know that the Sicilian should be able to scale up as long as it has the third item, the Lightning Truncheon, which is a core item. But you kind of see like Guatemala here, like really pressuring in all the sides. You see a lot of rotations coming in. I asked him getting a pick off here onto Zeus Prime, and there's the last Insanity and the Numenor Blast and Shindo from the backside, as well as the real world manipulation to slow them down. Hacker falls once again, but it's gonna be Shindo getting taken down there by Narco Baby. Nice answer there from Panama, finally getting in 2 kills after that clash.
It took them a while, but they are now a little bit back on the tempo here. They can actually do more damage on the tower on the bot side if they kind of just rush it. But looks like Guatemala's lineup is going to be able to catch up, at least for now. I think that was going to be. That's actually a lot of gold being taken from the outer turret energy shields. That's a pretty massive advantage if you give all that gold to the jungle. So at least somehow Panama is definitely still in this game.
Oh, there's Numenor Blast onto Scooby. Pops in that Bat's feast and still gets taken down there. I asked him as well, trying to save his life. Flickers out to safety from the real world manipulation. Hacker as well, here in the nick of time. But still, that's Guatemala, again, expending all the resources here of Panama. And here, if you think about it here, Rockhart, there's only the flicker out here for Scooby. He has 2 deaths already. And again, it's just 6 minutes in. So this is going to be quite the struggle for him. I think he's actually building up the Athena's shield here, or maybe even the Radiant armor for his third item. So that's going to be causing in some delays as well, respecting in the damage coming out from that Eve.
Yeah, at this point, you don't really have a choice, right? Because they're expecting you to be the squishier target. Maybe you can catch him by surprise. On the bottom side, it's going to be Zeus Prime getting taken out by the trio of Panama. Signs of life here for the Panama squad. That bottom lane turret could also go down, but looks like Sub is going to be on the way. Shido will still be able to secure that turret on top side. So there's still gold going over into Panama. Nice cancel on the Numenor Blast. That could be trouble. I think Sub has to make it out of here, or else he will also suffer the same fate. But there is a counter dive on the mid. Oh my goodness. Scooby going down without a fight as well. And I think that was also a turret on mid getting taken out, right?
Mid tower and the mid laner, while Scooby just really struggling right now. And this is really the case that you would expect in the Cecilion in the mid lane going up against an Eve, right? There's only the flicker out here for Scooby, and other than that, you can't really escape all these dives. The decimation by Vindrax and even the Numenon Blast here from Sub isn't something that you can just cancel out. And as you can see, Guatemala actually having putting up Zeus Prime here on the top side to take in the towers. And that's going to be 2 towers here taken down by Guatemala. And as for Panama, right, they're going to have to capitalize on the fact that the Narco Baby and Scooby are late game heroes. So you see like 3-man rotations happening for Ayasim and Narco Baby and Scooby as well. So 8 minutes in, actually, this is quite surprising. This is pretty, still, I think for Panama, this is good as compared to like the starting that they had for today, wherein they really had like kills after kills here for Guatemala. But there seems like they're answering back to Panama. There's the Numenon Blast here.
Oh,
On to Ayasim, unable to
there it
make the
is.
plays, gets that bouncing ball in, and gets Zal on a killing spree right now. Scooby once again forced to use that flicker out. There's a lot of pick-off potentials here, but that's going to be the Praises Rat on to Narco baby, but still, as long as Scooby is up, you can still dish out the damage. And now Shindo here gonna be able to soak up the damage. There's the Princess Rat, some life steal here. He should be able to sustain up against Panama and still able to survive, but not for long. Gets in that passive from the Yuzong, and that's gonna be actually a wipeout here by Panama after that clash.
That was massive. And don't forget, while the time is ticking, late game is definitely going to belong to Panama's lineup, and that is a big threat. Although I think Guatemala does see that, and they try to go for a steal in the, maybe a team fight, but Lord will still go over to Panama. Now, what's going to clean up going to look like here? It's going to be a double kill for the Martis. Will there be more? I think that
Oh,
might
Hacker
be
is actually
Hacker.
low
Oh, but
here.
Zeus Prime misses on the last hit. Could still get that kill, and there
Oh,
it is. Cleans it up in the end.
yep, no escape from the sniper of that Beatrix of Zeus Prime. Instantly taken down Hacker. There was no immortality, but now Scooby, okay, in a very bad position there. Gets the decimation from Vindrax. Yeah, nice answers here from Guatemala. They should be able to melt down this Lord. But again, for Panama, this is going their way, right? As long as they're able to extend the game a little bit further, they should be fine. They got their late game insurance. And now they will be defending their towers with what they got here. There's the real manipulation. Super slow onto Ayasim, forcing them to back away from that one. A lot of pressure from Guatemala, but I think for Panama, right, this is a-okay. It's fine. They should be able to extend this one. And now Michael Kaiser, okay, gonna dive in, try to join in the party. Quetzal is gonna be the target here, but instead gets outplayed by two here from Guatemala. Panama as well. Bats feast from Scooby. Still not that much damage just yet, but able to poke out the members here
Oh,
of Guatemala. A lot of isolated clashes, but Zeus Prime, Narco Baby, falling here under the hands of Guatemala. And now Hacker does not have the immortality here, not in a good position. And Zeus Prime still able to survive with 1 HP. Guatemala winning in that clash clearly.
that was almost a wipeout here. Coming in hot from Guatemala. They're showing off that early game lead that they did kind of work towards. And they are fighting back hard. And now the lead is at almost 6,000. They for Guatemala, they really ramped that one up. Although right now there will not be a Lord available for the taking for Guatemala for the meantime. I wonder what their team fight's going to look like in a few minutes from now. I think Panama has to push here, right? They have to make a play for the Lord if they don't want to lose out completely in this fight.
Yeah, there's the Radiant Armor, and this is what I was worried about, right? Like your mid laner and your gold laner are magic damage dealers. So there's gonna be the Athena's shield and the Radiant Armor that they have to consider as well. Um, the Golden Staff and the Genius One has been secured here by Narco Baby, but again, will that be enough to go up against this very tanky front line here of Guatemala? Plus the shields coming out from the Lolita. It's something big, right? But with this being said, 40k gold lead for Guatemala. That's 6k lead for them up against Panama, and they're gonna be going straight to this Lord. I mean, they got the map control here, so this should actually be um, the side of Guatemala being able to secure that Lord safely. But again, Scooby gonna be the target here of Sub. He's gonna be able
Ooh.
to soak up all the damage from the Bat's Feast. And again, they got this Lord Pit contained here for the side of Panama. I'm not so sure if it's gonna be wise to contain this or actually uh, contest for this Lord. So I think they should just give it away. Ayasim a little bit caught up in the middle and gets taken down there by Guatemala.
Yeah, they gave away the Lord, but they also gave away their Rome. And now it's going to be a little bit of a crucial moment here for Panama. I wonder how long they can keep this game under control. And I think basically it's Guatemala just waiting for an opportunity to strike. And they're doing the right job at it. If you think about it, they just need to make sure that the lanes are going to be pushing at the same time, that mid and that bottom side as well. Maybe they got themselves a game, but right now, while they are slowing it down a little bit, we are going to see a little bit of a re-engage attempt from Guatemala. We see some Kufra charging it up. And what's it gonna look like here? It's a 2-lane push so far. I think Panama should have the wave clear for this. But for how long?
Oh, they don't really have that much to burst down the front lines here of Guatemala. There is the Athena shield and the Radiant armor. I asked him trying to make in some plays there. They're able to still poke the members here of Guatemala. There's no Numenon blast just yet, but still Panama able to survive another day as Michael Kaiser trying to, again to go for Quetzal and gets taken down there by Quetzal. That's a three man down. Actually, a nice attempt from Michael Kaiser to take down the back lines. But again, you have to think that you're going up against a Fredrin, you're going up against a Lolita. So there's just a lot of shields, a lot of defense here for the side of Guatemala. So it wouldn't really be that easy to take Quetzal down. And speaking of Quetzal, 4-1-13 on this E, right? So much assist. And this is actually what's making it really hard here for Panama to actually go in for the engage.
I have big props here for Sub as well. I don't know how he's able to control the this game, but he is doing a very good job, and he is actually making sure that Scooby doesn't get out of control, Narco Baby doesn't punish so hard. A big props to the roamer as well for Guatemala.
Yeah, and for Asim here, I haven't seen that much Tyrant's Revenge just yet, right? Like we see him stretching, we see him popping in that bouncing ball, but we haven't seen that game-changing set just yet from Panama. And until now, we're waiting for that because again, for Panama, this is a ticking time bomb. Two late game heroes, as you guys can see, that's the Nathan and the Sicilian that has just picked up the Lightning Truncheon. I'm not so sure that this Sicilian is actually building towards like a lot of magic defense and a lot of anti-cuirasses as well. So you can expect to see less damage from the Sicilian, but I think it doesn't really matter, right, for the Sicilian. As long as you get to keep
Yeah.
stacking, it should be fine. It's a scaling hero. So I think for Panama, again, this is their insurance. They're going to try to go for the Lord fight here. Michael Kaiser popping in that Black Dragon form. And will there be a steal here from Panama? They're actually going to try to go for it as Hacker picks it up with that Retribution. But I don't think it's going to be wise for Panama to be overstaying this one because they got all the kits here to make the plays. There's the shutdown onto Vindrax as Hacker pops in that last Insanity out of that one, and they were still able to get in that lore. Gonna buy them some more time here for Panama. They're still in the game as Guatemala actually has different plans here. They're gonna try to, they're like, okay, it's fine. You guys got the lore. We're gonna try to end this as fast as we can because we know your composition will favor it if this keeps on going. Look at the damage from the Bat's impact of Scooby. He's the only one left to defend here. Not unless he gets taken down. He's still shredding everyone
Oh,
apart.
Scooby!
Oh no, Scooby!
Oh!
It's a double kill, but Zeus Prime finishes the game, and that's gonna be Guatemala picking up the win here for the first game.
All right, that was a very steady game one for Guatemala, but I have to admit, my heart went a little bit racing there in that last few minutes. I did not know what to expect. Uh, that was that was a beautiful counterplay from Guatemala. I have to say that's exactly what you need to do if you think your opponent they stole a pretty important lord. You know what? You don't always need the lord to win. You just need to break the base, and that's exactly what they did there. Uh, and the ability and their ability to do that was just actually marvelous. I was surprised by how easily they were able to get the kills after the lord, break the minions, kill the lord even so quick. And that just shows you how ahead Zeus Prime and the rest of the Guatemalan squad were.
Mhm. And it's a glass cannon composition here for the side of Panama, right? And Guatemala knows that very well. For the Sicilian and the Nathan, as long as they're unprotected there, they can definitely do all those dives. And that's exactly what they did in that last clash. They just completely ignored the Lord. It's fine. They got a minion wave in the mid side, and they were just able to close it out because the longer this game gets, this Guatemala knows this very well, that Panama will just be able to shred everyone apart. I mean, you can kind of see Scooby already wrecking everyone apart, right? That was a double kill on their base, but fortunately enough for Guatemala, they were able to keep Zeus Prime alive, lock in the tower, and eventually just end the game for their side.
Yeah, for 18, if we went to 18, 20 minutes, that would have been a completely different story. I feel like the Nathan would have been on full items, full force, and Scooby would have been able to hit people with Bat's Feast, maybe 1 to 2 hits. So that was exactly the moment that Guatemala really did have to go pedal to the metal. And big props to them for realizing that, because sometimes you would think you're at an advantage, but you're not really. No, Guatemala actually they held on to their advantage very hard, and realizing their win conditions, I would still say that was a pretty good job. And
Mm-hmm.
but for here's the thing for Panama, they actually could have done more maybe with that wipeout that we saw earlier. I guess we
Mm-hmm.
there's really the waves were just really not positioned in the best way. So I still saw why they drafted this way. A big promise still for Panama, but I hope to see more improvement in terms of calling the shots in that last game.
Yeah, they seem to be they seem to like a lot of late game heroes. Even in yesterday's games, they went for heroes that really need the time to scale. So I think if ever they, I mean, I like that, like that what they did in the draft was get in tanky frontliners, some early game heroes like Xborg and the Yuzong. But again, it's still not enough. Wherein Guatemala was just forcing out all these fights in the early game, and that's really what made them struggle. I was actually impressed that they were able to stretch it out really long here for their side, right? There were Lord Steals as well, so really props to Panama. But I think for their side, they should actually consider as well picking up someone that can go with the pace of Guatemala, because for their draft here, it's good, right? It's very solid for the late game, but again, they do need that upper hand in the early game, which is what really made it boil down to this point, right? Wherein a lot of the towers were taken down, a lot of the objectives were taken in by Guatemala, which is really what made them struggle here in the early to mid game.
Yeah, and maybe don't. I mean, it was so obvious, right? It was so obvious that the late game was their game. Maybe it would have been. They also needed to kind of slot in some of those heroes that can do well in the early game. For instance, maybe a more aggressive XP laner, because I feel like
Hmm.
the Xborg and the Kufa were tanky enough for most scenarios. Maybe if they had more threat in the XP lane, maybe, right? So that's
Hmm.
something I'm hoping they can kind of realize, because if you don't do put all of your eggs in the basket, in just a single basket, it's very obvious, right? It's very obvious that that's exactly where your enemy is going to attack you, and we saw that here. We saw that they were able to really punish the early game, and it was very difficult to really climb out of it.
Yeah, and it's hard too for the ex-Borg Hero of Hacker. That was their last and final pick for the draft, and I think they could have gone with either like a Fredrin or maybe even a Martis that would have fit in the composition here of Panama, or maybe fit in that early game that they wanted to have, right? Because the X-Borg is really as tanky, like what you mentioned, right? A great amount of sustain, yes, but I think in terms of the meta overall, it still favors heroes like maybe Akai, Fredrin, and the Martis that works really well in the jungle right now. But we're going to be heading over to our game number two, and this is actually the match point already for Guatemala. One more win for them, and they will be able to take the series with at least, well, another clean sweep if ever this does happen. And as for Panama, right, promising plays from them, but we have to see more, right? We have to see such a more solid lineup if they want to actually extend this to a game number three.
Yeah, I would love to see more flexibility in terms of drafting for Panama, because we did see that they're capable of other lineups. We saw that yesterday. It just wasn't as effective as you want it to be, but definitely we are seeing some at least attempts for Panama to really mix it up. And this is something they really need to do right now, because it's starting to become
Mhm.
very difficult for them to climb out of the hole where they are stuck in a certain pattern, and the enemy can really see it. The enemy is starting to predict it, right? So yeah, let's see if they can shake off some of those game one jitters and maybe make a big impact here in game number two.
We see the Eve finally getting actually surprisingly, like I don't think Panama is that comfortable with the Eve. I mean, despite the fact that they're in the on the blue side, so which means that they can actually pick up the Eve for themselves. I'm not so sure, right? Like yesterday we've seen like a same lineup, but they actually switch roles here for game number one. So I'm not so sure if they're gonna be reverting back to their roles for this game. Or I think I want to see more from Narco Baby and Scooby if ever they're still going to be playing on the gold lane and the mid lane, right? We have to yet to see a lot more heroes that they can pull off. And with this being said, Joy Arlott ban here for Guatemala. So I think if Panama wants to start it up, they can actually go with a very safe choice. Great start here. Valentina for their mid lane. And now Guatemala has to think it through, right? What they want to pick up here because they seem to like going for those team fights in game number one. So Numenon Blast or maybe even Black Dragon forms can be so lethal, especially there's a Valentina on the side here of Panama.
Yeah, and as for Guatemala, they're not really gonna change up what worked for them in game number one that much. Beatrix is still gonna be their gold laner, and I have to admit it is very much warranted. Zeus Prime did a very good job in keeping alive in that game, where you know what they could have been really bad. There were times he could have gotten two shot by the Sicilian last game, but he was able
Mhm.
to basically just do it with fancy footwork, you know. So it's gonna be very
Ooh.
cool for us to see what
Mhm.
other possibilities are in store. Obviously, they're not gonna lock that in unless they want to go jungle Valentina,
Mhm.
which I think is unlikely.
Yeah.
So let's see. I mean,
Could be an option, and they're hovering over the Minster and Cecilia. I mean, I don't blame you guys, Panama. I love the Cecilia. I mean, he's such a charming hero. I love seeing him in play. This needs more time, but I do like it that there's early game heroes. But will it? Okay, okay, yeah, it makes much more sense, right? Like Harry and the Mincetar, this is a little bit more balanced as compared to the Sicilian. I was actually thinking if like they picked up the Sicilian, that would have been either a Valentina on the roam or maybe even Valentina on the jungle. But again, these first picks coming out from Panama, these are very flexible. I mean, we've seen a Valentina in the jungle, we've seen a Mincetar in the jungle actually, and it's
ooh,
still very viable. This is something new. Oh, I like this because there's actually a story between Yuzong and Loi, but they actually play together. They have special voice lines. I'm not so sure if you've tried that, right? But when you're doing the mastery, Loi and Yuzong actually has some special voice lines, hidden voice lines actually when they play together.
yeah, that's actually interesting. So, will we see that here? Obviously, I think we might, right? Again, Cadia Riverlands lore aside, they do work together very well. Like, if people are so busy being caught up in dealing with the Yuzhong and dealing with a big
Mhm.
flying dragon, maybe you won't notice that you're already getting thrown some yin yangs in your face, and it really does hurt. Loyi, if you leave Loyi unchecked, you're gonna be in trouble.
Oh my goodness. I just remembered the ultimate here of the Loi can just pull off so many plays around the map, especially since its ultimate was buffed up, right? Like you can pretty much reach any part of the map. And there's so many plays that you can do with this Loi. My only worry is the mobility wise. There's only the flicker out here for Quetzal as compared to the Eve, right? That has a lot more range, but a lot of potential here for the draft of Guatemala. I like that alpha the second time that we're seeing it today, but we're also going to be seeing that Minotaur locked in here by Panama finally because it was banned out in game number one. So are we going to be seeing a Lancelot in the jungle here for Panama finally?
I think we are going to, and it does make a lot of sense. Lancelot is one of those heroes that can kind of make life hard for a Loyi, and I don't blame if they pick it up. There it is. So Yeah, a lot of really uncanny combinations here coming from Panama. You don't really usually see a Mintatar and a Minotaur in the same lineup. But if they pull this off, I mean, Burger King, it looks deadly, right?
Yeah, and plus the fact that the Valentina can take in the ultimate tier of the Loi as well. So, are we gonna be seeing like surprise plays all across the map? Because it's really starting to look like that. There's a great amount of crowd control from both sides. There's a great amount of surprise plays, damage. It's just all there. So we might actually just be seeing like an all-out brawl here for both Panama and Guatemala for this match point for Guatemala. So um, yeah, I want to see this being pulled off. I mean, you don't really see Aloy being picked up, right? It's mostly the Eves, mostly on the Farsa. So I like that. There's a surprise factor. Plus, it just works so well, right? If you pull off that diversion play really well, you can do those ganks, you can do those surprise plays. So I'm looking forward to see that. Can you imagine like getting in that diversion play, putting the Yuzong in, and just popping in that Black Dragon form during the Lord fight? So yeah, we can expect to see that. I don't know if they're gonna try to pull that off. So that's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like if they're able to do this, it would be so easy. It would be very deadly. But once more, it will have to depend on some good re-engages from. It will depend on how well they engage, rather, not the re-engages, but how well they will also be able to play with
Hmm.
this alpha. It feels deadly, but at the same time, be careful, right? Because it can go wrong very quickly, especially if someone makes a bad move and they can't get out of the Minoan Fury because of the Mintatar. So let's load up into the game and let's find out if that's going to happen here. We're loading up into game number 2, ladies and gents. It is match point for Team Guatemala.
And here you see Quetzal picking up that purifier, right? So it just go, oh, this is a lot more or less mobility for the Loi. It's going to be just the diversion to get her out of those sticky situations. So positioning should matter here for Quetzal. He's not an Eve this time, so they really have to worry about that one. And again, the yin yang overturn here for from the Loi should prove to be deadly, especially for the squishier heroes like Narco Baby here. But this time, I liking this lineup here from Panama. Something new from them. But again, this is no longer the game we're in. There's a lot of late game heroes. This is a lot more balance for their side. So it's only Narco Baby here that is the late game hero for Panama. So they answered out to the late game mid and the late game golden game number one. So this is looking a lot more better for their side.
Yeah, definitely looking a lot better. And this time around, they will have at least some form of laser of better killing potential. The carry isn't like necessarily just a late game hero.
Mhm.
I think the carry can also do some pretty good damage even in the early stages of the game. We'll just have to find out how IESM will be setting him up. Although the flicker's already used up, oh, that's a bad
Mhm.
sign. You could have used that as an engagement tool the moment that you hit level 4, but no, that's not going to be available for Panama for the meantime.
I'm looking at the players here of Panama. Once again, they switched up their roles here. I mean, it's gonna be Michael Kaiser in the jungle, and you see Hacker actually going to the XP lane. I'm not so sure if this is something that. I mean, I think they practiced this, right? But what they're going for is maybe try to get in a different tempo for this game. Maybe perhaps Hacker is comfortable with this. And speaking of, that's going to be first turtle secured in by Panama. There's the rotation diversion combination, and Shindo is the first one to get picked off here as Vindrax gonna try to go in for Hacker. Not gonna go in for more. There is the Minoan's Fury onto him, and I don't think he's able to survive this one. He does have that lifesteal, but finally gets taken down by Scooby. That's 2 kills picked up by Panama this time.
Yeah, team fight is definitely looking a lot better here right now so far for Panama. And this is what we're talking about, right? The advantage you get with a Lancelot and as well as with the Valentina is just very, very apparent. Although life will be harder later on, maybe for the Lancelot, the moment that the Kufra gets in the groove, maybe when sub becomes a lot more tankier, maybe that's the time that maybe you can make an effort, maybe you can make a push happen. But yeah, right now they will have some clear in the form of the carry, in form of the Valentina. Panama should still have control of this game, maybe until the mid game.
Yeah, but this is looking much better for Panama, right? And this is what we were looking for in game number one. They just had a lot of their eggs in one basket, and it was just really such a struggle for them in this game. So I think this is something different, something new, right? Michael Kaiser on the jungle, and it seems like it's working well. They were able to take in the first turtle and actually pressure this top side. They know that Narco Baby needs a lot more time, so that's gonna be a lot of gold plating onto Zeus. Ayasam actually waiting for the proper time as well to dive in with the Minoan's Fury. Sub as well, going very, very aggressive there. There's the tower. There's the Minoan's Fury on the three, but there's no follow-up just yet. No damage in as Michael Kaiser gonna try to go in for Zeus Prime in the backside and able to still survive the onslaught here of Panama. 3 kills. This is virtually what they did against Guatemala in game number one. So this is looking good for them. A bit more balanced this time as they head over straight to the turtle this time, the second turtle of the game for both teams.
Yeah, a bit more balance, and they look more comfortable with some of these heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like they're exerting too much effort to make the team fights happen. But what's happening here is definitely they will have control of turtle number two again, and it looks a lot better. It looks a lot better this time around for Panama, even in the mid to early game. Now, the important thing is if they had to keep this up, right? If they want to start a game number three, but right now, oh, that is massive. Scooby just going down without a fight, can't even dash on out of there.
Yeah, he got the knock up there from Sub, and at the same time, Shindo just popped in that ultimate, so there's just no way out. There wasn't even the Petrify in. But again, we have to take a look at the gold lane here of Panama. That's something that Guatemala knows very well. They can pressure Narco Baby here as Sub once again goes in for the aggressive dive. Zeus Prime, beautiful positioning, and there's the diversion play. Two in, but still Panama knows that very well. They've already rotated towards this top side. So that's what I was talking about, right? The surprise play from Quetzal. But again, we have to consider as well that there's a lot of threat here for Quetzal. A lot of heroes that can pick off the backline here of Guatemala, which is actually the reason why they're so reserved in the team fights here in game number two. So 5 minutes in, this is not something that we've seen in game number one where they were super aggressive, right? So this is pretty much a different tempo that Guatemala is setting for this game.
Yeah, that's true. The tempo is very important. As long as it's actually so much easier to keep up this tempo than what they had last game, where they had to juggle between just trying to survive. This time around, Panama definitely is in the driver's seat. We haven't actually seen the effect of the Lohi yet, which is a big letdown, I think,
Mm.
for this lineup. But we're not done yet. We're only 6.5 minutes in the game. Maybe we're yet to see some big plays coming in from Quetzal. And I just want to see more damage, I guess, coming in from this Loyi, which we might see on the top side of the map.
Mhm. Oh, there's the jump here from Sub. There's the flicker out from Narco Baby. He's still alive at this point, and that's fine. 2-0-0 on the carry. And this is actually surprisingly good, especially since there's a lot of rotations that are being done here by Guatemala. But Michael Kaiser this time, again, secures him the last and final turtle here for the side of Panama, which is actually good, right? This gives a lot more gold for the team, gives a lot more room for them to get in the items that they need. But despite the fact that Panama has a lot more kills in this game, they haven't taken any towers just yet, and Guatemala is just doing it right by pushing in the mid tower. That's huge for them and creating a lot of pressure here on the sides of Panama.
All right, there's an engage by Sub, and I don't think they want to go right away, but definitely with Scooby low, this is the best time for them to do so. But nope, they're going to be leaving it out a little bit. Maybe trying to teleport on a different part of the map, and they are. They're flying up on top side, maybe. Got two people. That is going to be the Alpha as well as the Yuzhong. Wonder what's happening there. It's going to be a shutdown for Narco Baby. That is massive. And again, that's going to be exactly what you want to do. Signs of life here. Sub with a beautiful Tyrant's Rage, but no follow-up. And there's a counter Tyrant's Rage as well. Michael Kaiser goes in for the cleanup once more. And these Tyrant's Rages aren't going to be much use if there's no one to actually follow up on them.
Yeah, this is where it gets frustrating, right? You get a very nice setup. Unfortunately, there wasn't any follow up there by Guatemala, and the fact that Scooby actually used his own ultimate to take him down. So quite unfortunate there for the side of Guatemala. But I think in terms of the goal, it's not that far. But I'd have to say that the room that they're creating all across the map is such a big thing. They can make a lot more plays here with the Loi, and I think that is something that they're trying to do. There's the divergent play from the backside from Quetzal. Let's see if they're able to pull in some surprises.
Oh!
And yes, they do. They pop in that yin yang overturn onto two members down right before the first Lord here, and this is gonna be Guatemala in a much better position to take this. I don't think there's gonna be any contest, but Michael Kaiser's still up. He can actually, use that phantom execution to actually go in and steal that Lord. But again, he gets spotted out here by Vindrax. He's still alive, by the way. The Lord has 1/4 HP. It's gonna be really difficult. This is a Texalot you're trying to take down, and yes, they actually do take him down before he is able to make in the steal. And that's gonna be Guatemala picking up that Lord with 3 towers as well under their belt.
Man, just when I thought that Panama might be able to make a huge play with the objective advantage that they have,
Mhm.
I just looked up and I realized Guatemala's still actually in the lead in terms of gold. And even with,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
with that Lord take, they are now definitely ahead, even with the push, with the tempo, and with the map control. Now, what's it going to look like here as they are on the defending side? They are going to have to defend these turrets very well, and all lanes are pushing up. We got 2 on top side and 2 on the bottom. There goes Sub. He flies in. Minoan Fury straight on the Zeus Prime. But again, just like before, there's no one to actually follow up on a very good ultimate. Here comes the cavalry, though, going for chase. It's 3 members coming in from Panama. Good defense so far, but that's going to be it. That's a lot of members going down for Guatemala. That's going to be 2 going down, but the push will still happen. Not done. Alpha's on the mid. Shido
Mhm.
trying to clear it up, trying to get some damage in before the backup arrives. At least no inhibitors will fall for Guatemala, or for Panama rather. But the lead is solid. It's 4,000 at 10 minutes, 11 minutes in the game. I don't think they're done yet, though. They also want to just control this area of the map. I love what Panama's doing. They're able to basically just keep Narzo Baby alive. And as long as Narzo Baby's alive, Guatemala's respecting them, man. They're really holding on here.
That's a lot more gold onto the Beatrix here of Zeus Prime. As I mean, Narco Baby is actually doing well with this carry, and I think the thing here for Guatemala is actually to force out the flickers, force out the Minoan Rage, and there's the Petrify from Vindrax, Black Dragon form as well. And there is the diversion play from Quetzal once again, catching everyone off
Oh!
guard, forcing them to back away from that one. Everyone's at low HP, and this is what I was pointing out, Rockhart. All the plays that you can do with the low E. I mean, the only problem that Quetzal is gonna be having here is Michael Kaiser, right? Like the deaths that the low E had here is from Michael Kaiser that can definitely pierce through the backside. And Guatemala knows very well that Panama will at least try to force out the fights, especially with the hacker here and the Minoan's Fury that can have that massive CC. But again, how can you move forward when there is Quetzal from the backside just taking everyone down with that rotation diversion? And even before you can make in some plays, they're just taken down there. Good shutdown by Narco Baby. Finally, some shutdown goal to the side of Panama, but it's still Guatemala leading this one. They are 38k as compared to Panama. And now they're going to go straight in for this Lord. They got the numbers advantage as well, so they can start this one up. Map control with them as well, but there might actually be a diversion play. Okay, no, it's not. It's just for the cooldown.
Yeah, actually. And the control they're having here in this map is just excellent. But at least Panama right now are trying to make something else different happen, because it's exactly what they need to do. Sub, I don't know if you're aware, you're almost gonna get taken out there. Yasim, he has the ultimate, he has the Minoan
Mhm.
Fury. Beautiful hook in Oh, Quetzal could go down as well. Michael Kaiser takes him, but Vindrax is on the chase. They're trying to hunt down Narco Baby. That's important. Double kill for Zeus Prime on the back means that even though it was a nice engage from Panama, it's still Guatemala with the lead there. It's 2-1, and the Lord is in their favor.
As long as Zeus Prime is alive, Guatemala should be fine, right? He's just free hitting everyone. And I just love the fact that I thought Scooby was going to go for the counter engagements. He's like, you know what? I'm taking that Black Dragon 4 and I'm going to get out of that one. And it's a good call, right? Because Guatemala had the upper hand, a double kill for the gold laner. And now they got the Lord to boot. After all of that, the Luminous Lord here for Guatemala, this should actually cause a lot of pressure here on the inhibitors of Panama. And looking at our gold rock hard, slowly but surely, it's going to the side of Guatemala, and it's paying off. All those towers that they've taken, and here we see that charge up from the Lord. We see Shindo as well working in all those towers. We have yet to see some plays being made here from that Minotaur. And Quetzal, as long as he's still alive, okay, spoke too soon. Gets taken down there by Michael Kaiser. Base is already at 1/4 HP. There's that Minoa's Fury. Look at the damage coming through from Scooby's Arcane Shade. Narco Baby picks up a double kill, and the rest of Guatemala, they're gonna get punished here. A triple kill for Narco Baby. They're gonna go for more. Is it gonna be a maniac? Okay, there's the immortality. There's the immortality here on to Shindo.
Yeah,
There's a shutdown. 4 members down. Instantly punished there by Panama, and it looks like we have a game here. They should be able to take down at least like 2 towers here from the side of Guatemala.
Yeah, at the very minimum, although of course the cost is going to be the inhibitor turrets on the base, but looks like Panama, they're not slowing down at all. There is that minion, and there goes those 2 towers on the mid. That is that's the best punchback they can do, although they will lose all of their inhibitor turrets in the process. Oh, that is massive. I love what Panama's doing. They got the grit, and they are showing it off in this game.
And here's the thing, right? The Lancelot pick of Michael Kaiser is proving to be very lethal here especially for heroes like Zeus Prime and Quetzal that really can't escape those dashes. And now Hacker here, gonna be the first one to fall. Black Dragon form comes in. There's the Petrify onto Narco Baby. There is the Wind of Nature being used. Quetzal again to fall in the hands of Michael Kaiser. But finally, Vindrax got what he wanted, and there's the shutdown onto Narco Baby. Not so sure if they'll force out a lot more clashes. They got what they wanted, and of course, shutdown onto Narco Baby is huge, especially since the Lord's going to be up in just a little bit. And yeah, Guatemala again bouncing back from that almost wipeout by Panama.
I think it's important because now it is a reset, right? So at the very least, Panama has reset the map. It will go down to this last. I think this is going to be the last Lord of the fight. Whoever gets this can probably go straight into the base, especially right now with Panama with no defending inhibitor turrets. This could be it. So I think they will have to contest this. Otherwise, they will risk losing out on their base. Their base looks very fragile right now. So who's gonna get caught here, Burger Kim? Who is gonna let go of this last Lord of the game?
There's just so many plays that you can make here with Guatemala. And now there's going to be a lot of ultimates being used here. That's going to be Vindrax popping in that Black Dragon form. And there's the flicker in from Hacker. Gets in too! In the King's Calling! But there's the Wind of Nature here by Zeus Prime, able to sustain all of that. And a nice Minoa's Fury for the follow-up. Quetzal again, really, really struggling with this composition as Panama gonna be the one to actually take in this Lord after that play made by Hacker. And Panama still alive and kicking in this game, 17 minutes in, and it seems to be working really well for them. As they take the Lord, they get in the gold lead as well. That's at least a 1K going 2K here for the side of Panama.
Yeah, this is exactly what they needed to do. Get that Lord on their side, get these waves in their favor. And all of that was down to Hacker with that 2-man pull straight into the King's Calling. I feel like it was so critical for him to get that, or else they would have definitely lost out on that. Something's happening here with Vindrax. He's actually quite low. He won't be able to do the re-engage here. I think he will have to go for the fullback. They will have to fight this out in their base.
Now, here's the thing for Guatemala. You can see the impact that the Lancelot has on the damage dealers, right? In every clash, it seems like Michael Kaiser's main target, it is Quetzal, right? Most of the time, it's Quetzal. And even before the clash, oh, there's Hacker again with the play, just as I was talking.
Oh my
That's a damage
gosh!
Mincetar, by the way. Damage, semi-tank, and you can see the pulse damage from the King's Calling, and now Vindrax in trouble. They take down the tower on the bottom side, and it seems like Panama once again, this time on the driver's seat. Surprisingly, okay, with only one late game hero here, which is the carry. And it seems to be working well for them. All the engages that are being done here by Ayasim and the Hacker is so on point, and now Sub unable to do anything. Look at the confidence here of Panama, even going all the way to the tower. It seems like we have a game here, Rockhart, as the members here of Panama. They're actually going to be getting in this one. Shindo able to sustain, but not for long. There's that King's Calling once again. Zeus Prime still alive, and King's able to take down Scooby. Double kill for Zeus Prime. Wait, hold on. Okay, that might actually be a... Okay, there's a bit of treasure to buy some time. There is the extent, but still, Zeus Prime saving it for the side of Guatemala. They're still alive too. 4-man down as the members of Guatemala. They're still alive and kicking. Wait, Narco Baby almost getting killed. There's the flicker. There's the chase. There's the chase. Okay. He has to go back. He has to go back here for some HP.
He's still alive.
Zeus Prime. Zeus Prime is here to save the day. And it seems like Guatemala here locking in the tower. Locking it in and gets it with a clean sweep. Oh my goodness. Zeus Prime. Remember the name.
Wow. I think that was as close can get. That was, oh my goodness. So close for Panama to turn it into a game free. But man, Zeus Prime, someone has to do a replay of that last one. He killed 4 people. Oh my goodness. 4 people against 1. They Panama tunnel vision so hard in that last one.
I actually thought that was Panama. Because there were minions, right? There were minions there, and I thought they were gonna lock in the tower. That was too close. And I think it's great that Zeus Prime was the one who respawned there. I mean, if it was either like Vindrax or someone else, that would have been a much difficult story. But here, this is it, right? Narco Baby was just wreaking havoc against the members of Guatemala. And we actually thought this was going to be the end. We might actually go to a game number 3, but no, here, Zeus Prime just saves the day. Yeah, this was a wipeout. And eventually, Zeus Prime, very nice positioning there. And I love this, right? There was the Winter Trencher play. I thought he was going to outplay Zeus Prime here. But again, the triple kill on the Beatrix, which is the reason why this hero is still on the top priority list. And this is it. The final deal, the final icing to the cake for Guatemala. They lock in the tower, and Zeus Prime just saving the day for the side of Guatemala. And we're going to be having another clean sweep for today.
And I thought we were about to see our first free game series, but no, Guatemala, they held it together. And Zeus Prime, I mean, I'm not sure if the stats are going to back it up. That was definitely an MVP-worthy performance. So congratulations to Guatemala for that one. I did not really anticipate the amount of firepower that Panama had in that last fight. And yeah, Hacker had 2 huge plays here. Even in that last one, he pulled back Shido actually. So, man, Hacker really could have done wonders here, but overall, it was just an amazing macro performance coming in from Guatemala that really netted them this game, as well as obviously the big shining plays from their marksmen.
There's just so much promise for Panama, right? That was the closest game that we've ever had so far here in our qualifiers, and it's just really worthy to see all these type of plays from all across the globe. And it just goes to show, right, that these players, they're good with their micro and macro, but it's really going to boil down to, again, the last minutes of the game. That's very, very crucial. MVP worthy performance, definitely. Zeus Prime, I would give it to him in this round. I'm not so sure if yeah, you right, like what you said, the stats will back him up. I'm not so sure about that, but definitely I will be giving my personal MVP to him.
Yeah, that was actually I would have to completely agree with that. That was as as much as you can expect from a Beatrix player, right? That was way more, or rather, way
Mhm.
more than you could expect from a one man Beatrix player with no one to front line for him. In game one, it was obviously a little bit better, or a little bit more macro oriented. It wasn't like any individual highlight performance, but in game number two, they really did tear it up, and it was the same. It was also the Beatrix there in that last one, and they did
Mhm.
manage to really macro game number one. In game number two, though, it was down to the wire. It was about your micro mechanical gameplay, your game sense, even dodging out on those forward roses in that last minute. That was the crucial moments where you really needed your team really needed you, and I think Zeus Prime really stepped it up. And again, overall, it was
Yeah.
still a macro win for them, right?
Hmm. And here's the thing, right? I think for Michael Kaiser at that point, he's like, okay, after this winter trudger, what do I do? I think he was gonna dash out of that one, but he's like, oh no, can't escape that Beatrix. Just I think probably that was one of the most games that I was on the edge of my seat. And as for Panama, right? If they actually pulled off a composition like that for game number one, that would have been much more balanced, I would say. I mean, overall, like they did have a much better game today as compared to yesterday. So they really stepped it up. So I think this switch role thing actually helped them out a lot because they actually switched for both games. So for game number one, they switched it up, mid and gold lane, and for game number two as well, like Hacker and Michael Kaiser was able to switch in their roles, and it did make a difference. Actually, they're much like what you said. They're much more comfortable with the heroes, and it seems like these are the heroes that they wanted to pull out, but they just had to make some certain changes.
Yeah, I think the comfort pick was a big deal, right?
Mhm.
Panama compared to yesterday, it was a very different beast altogether, and maybe just a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know. The decision making was the thing there. So yeah, I think Zeus Prime definitely was MVP for game number two. I'm not sure if that's gonna be the same here. What about you, Burger King?
Oh man, personally, like let's say, okay, for Panama, I'd have to give it to Hacker and Michael Kaiser. But as for
Hacker,
Guatemala, I
yeah.
think it's undeniable here at this point, right? Like who was able to survive that play. I mean, if that was me, I wouldn't be able to pull that off. But let's take a look at the MVP for this last and final game. And obviously, undoubtedly, it is going to be Zeus Prime, right? The
Yeah, that was just too
15-6.
good. Overall, I think he really did deserve it. Not only in the easy game that they had, in the easy laning phase that he had, but also in the very clutch last game. So his decision making in that last team fight.
Mhm.
Actually, I would I call it a team fight? I don't think it was a team fight. It was a 1v4. So 1v4,
Yeah, 1v4,
1v5.
right?
It it was his decision making that last one was just out of proportion to what you would expect from just a single player. So a single-handed performance like that definitely deserves a big round of applause. So congratulations. That will mean that Guatemala will get a 2-0, and as clean as you can get here. So far, they're not really letting anything go in this tournament, in this qualifier that we're seeing today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see more of the games actually for tomorrow, right? So we're going to be seeing a lot more best out of threes. And at this point, Brockhart, more or less, we've seen already more than half of the teams here for the Americas qualifier. So A lot of good plays today. A lot of very close fights, I would say, as compared to yesterday, wherein the teams were just heating up. So for today, we've seen a lot of close games. Actually, I think most of the games that we had today, rock hard, were more than 15 minutes. So it just goes to show how our players are continuously evolving here in the qualifiers. So you get to see more of that actually tomorrow. But once again, congratulations to Guatemala as well as Argentina. And speaking of Argentina, they're going to be starting it up tomorrow. Argentina, Peru, same time, same place here in the IESF qualifiers. So stay tuned for more action tomorrow, guys.
Bye. See you guys.